Live and recording on a beautiful Tuesday in Minneapolis. This is a political debate show where people call in and discuss politics with me. It gets pretty crazy. It's not on TikTok Live if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, so you can hit up the link tree in my bio and follow me there. May as well give myself the commercial. You should hit up all the links in my bio and do all the things. Some of those things are supporting the show, which means I'll get to quit my job soon because I've pretty much already planned the date that I'm quitting my job. So if you guys could just keep it going, then I'll be able to do this full time. Pretty incredible that I get to do it at all. So very, very excited about that. What was the news today? I feel like there was important news to discuss, but I'm a little foggy this morning. I think I slept too well. You guys ever have that happen where like you get like the 9 or 10 hours that you really needed to catch up and you wake up just feeling groggy because your brain was shut down for too long? That's kind of where I feel like I'm at right now. So we'll see if it's a good show. Hopefully we'll get some callers quickly. Tori's already here. Project Esther. What's that? Esther? Let's see. Ooh, I've got the wrong thing open. That's not the one I use for the live stream. There we go. I guess the news for me, I just edited a stream where the thumbnail is going to be L host W guest. I admit it, because I forgot what it meant to pack the courts, and it made me look like such a buffoon in one of my episodes that's going up on YouTube today. Oh well, I think there's value in the fact that when I get the occasional L, like I kind of lock myself by numbering the episodes to like not being able to just hide an episode in which I look bad. Like it's gonna go up. People are gonna be able to look at it. Project Esther. We can look at that, but I am going to accept a guest into the call, and we're going to start with Splinter. Maybe we'll talk about Project Esther later, but I'll have to get educated on it. Splinter, are you able to connect? Ooh, he's got the wheels spinning. He or she. We'll see. It is always good for the show when we get a caller right away. How old are you? Hello?
35.
35. I'm 30. Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Okay, just so you know, the chat's already warning me about you. I'm not familiar with you though, so you got a clean slate with me, but I'm a little bit on alert when the chat says not this guy right away. So whatever that means, I don't know. Where do you want to start?
I mean, of course they are, bro, because I cook everybody and you guys end up kicking me. So I like to clip farm a lot of you guys. So it's
okay.
You're not on YouTube, are you?
I am. This is
Are you live on YouTube?
Not live, no. This conversation will be on YouTube after the fact, though. I post the entire show.
Yeah, but why don't you stream live on YouTube? You'd get way more viewers.
I am working on that. I'm having some technical difficulties where when I try to do it, I get a lot of lag, but my computer's powerful enough, so I'm obviously doing something wrong. So I'm working on that. Can we talk about politics?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so Trump won on lies. No, I don't really agree with that, man. I mean, I think he's in a tough spot with the whole Iran war, obviously. But
because he lied about not starting any wars?
Yeah, but hold on, bro. The average for unleaded gas, and this is what you guys are going to do. Oh, I'm paying $6 a gallon for gas. Dude, the average for gas right now for unleaded is under $5. Yes or no?
I believe it is.
Okay, so did it go to $5? Did it go above $5 when Biden was in? Yes or no?
I'm sorry, we're talking about Trump's campaign lies. How did we get to Biden this quickly?
I just mentioned, dude, hold on. No, don't try to avoid the conversation, bro. Under Biden, did gas go above $5? Yes or no?
I don't recall what the peak was. I know it was high.
It was above $5, you dingaling. Yes, it was.
Oh, Dingaling, I remember you. Okay, I love you, Dingaling.
Well, how do you not remember that, bro? How do you not remember? Wait. How come when I talk about Biden, you just have like this memory loss, bro?
Recency bias. It was longer ago, so I don't remember exactly the number, and I'm a careful enough host that I'm not going to pretend that I do.
So then stop talking politics if you don't even know, bro.
I know it was about $5. I don't think it matters to the argument.
It wasn't about $5. It was $5.06, you dumb.
I was literally about to say I don't think it matters if it was $4.95 or $5.05. It was $5.06. Thank you for educating me. What's your point?
So gas here in Florida is like $4 a gallon, bud. So it's way under when Biden was in, right?
I mean, I think that the number 5 is...
No, bro, listen. You stop
Is this your clip farming?
Here's the thing, bro.
You're not going to get a very good audience. Your audience is going to be a bunch of losers if this is how you farm clips.
Gas is $4 in Florida, and under Biden it was $5. You're going to sit here and tell me that it was better under Biden.
I think that the number 5 is a little bit bigger than the number 4, and I think that
Hey, why don't you Google it then? Let's Google it.
Dude,
because it's not, hey, this isn't, hold on, bro. This isn't, I think. I know it was above $5 because I know. I'm not, I think it was. Bro, Google it right now then.
Okay, I mean, do you want me to Google it right now? Is that what we're doing? Obviously, you've taken control of the show. I have no power here. What are we doing?
Yeah, because I control you, bud. So gas under Biden was above $5. It was like 505 or 506. The average for gas right now is under that. So how are you complaining? How do you guys complain about the gas prices?
Because when the president does something to cause the gas price to increase so suddenly and quickly and so obviously as a result of something that he's done, we can blame them directly for it. Whereas gas prices, fuel prices generally are very volatile in the global market.
Okay, so you're saying, hold on, let me get this straight. You're saying Donald Trump kicks off the war in Iran, and then the next day gas jumps 45 cents. Bro, why aren't you blaming Exxon? Why aren't you blaming Mobil? Why are you just blaming Donald Trump?
Those companies are evil, and I don't like what they're up to generally. We don't have the 2024 data here. This article's a little too...
Wait, hold on. Scroll in.
What
do you got right there?
Dude, slow down. I'm not running. You're acting like I'm running, and I'm just sitting here trying to engage with the conversation.
Yeah, scroll. Can you scroll in so we can see the dates on that?
Well, yeah, what I just said is that
it says it right there. It says it right there, bro.
Why are you laughing at me? I haven't denied anything that you've said. Do you think
you will, bro. Yeah, you will. You will deny it, bro.
What I just said is that this
you will fucking deny it. You'll look at this chart and you'll deny it, bro.
What I just said is that it doesn't show the 2024 data, which we probably want. I think this is slightly too old. Do you want to... Like, what is this? What do you want me to do? Do we keep looking at this one?
Dude, hold on. Please scroll in. Please scroll in, bro. Please zoom in on the last 4 dates. The last 4 dates.
It doesn't show the 2024 data, this thing.
I know, but I just want to make a point, bro. Please scroll in.
Right,
why the fuck did you move that?
I'm trying to. Here, I'm going to open the image in a new tab so I can zoom properly because the website won't let me. Calm down. Calm down, buddy. Look at this. I'm doing it. I'm zooming. You didn't need to yell. Like,
look at that. 406 under Biden. Okay, so
well, it only goes to
2022.
It only goes to 2023. So I just don't think this is a good source for what you're trying to show me. I'm trying to help you make your point.
No, you're not trying to help me, bro. You're not trying to help me. You're not. Because here's the thing.
What do you want me to do?
All Biden did was scream the Green New Deal, bro.
What do you want me to do?
And then you guys will be like, why did gas prices go up? Because of that clown.
Was the high gas price under Biden in 2024? Because this graph doesn't show that year.
Then show the 2024 then, man.
Okay, that's what I was saying. I should probably
even if you look at 2022, it's still the same pretty much. It's actually cheaper than 406.
Okay. What is this? What is happening on my show right now, dude? Like... Do you want me to try to find a different resource?
Because you guys sit here and say that gas is more expensive now than when Biden was in. You're fucking lying, bro.
Dude, I haven't made a single claim about the exact gas prices on this show.
Oh, trust me. I know you well enough to make
on this episode,
you're gonna make a claim. Trust me. You will make a claim, bud.
See, I mean, like, what do you want me to look at? What's your source? You're the one who brought the information.
What's my source, bro? The average for gas is $4.50 a gallon right now, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so then what was it under Biden, dude?
Well, according to that graph, it got up to 406, but we didn't have the 2024 data. Okay, and I already said that I don't know that number off the...
Go to the last 3 years.
All right, I tried. I didn't find it quickly enough, and you're yelling at me. What is your source?
Stop stalling, bro. Just show us the last three. Show us 24, 25, and 26.
Here. If you think I'm stalling...
He won't do it. He won't do it.
If you think I'm stalling, what's the Google search term? You're in charge.
He won't do it.
Let's find it. I'm doing it right now. What is the Google search term? Let's find it together.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. Here's the deal. Why do you need a Google search it? It's $4.50 average now, and under Biden, it was over $5.
Okay, yeah, we need a source on that. What do I Google to prove you right?
Go to peak. Okay. Type in Biden peak gas prices.
Biden peak gas prices. Okay. I don't read AI, so what do you want me to click?
Go up. Hold on, go up.
No, that's an AI summary based on
I know, but hold on, go up really quick. Just go up really quick, bro.
I don't promote AI blurbs.
I'm going to prove to you that the AI is right, and then you're going to pull your article.
I don't care if the AI is right or wrong. I care about what is right. What do I click?
Can you scroll up really quick?
No, because the AI is untrustworthy.
You don't want to see it, bro.
No, I want a source.
You don't want to see it.
I want to see a source.
Okay, then just go to a government website source, but the AI is telling you right there. You just scroll down because you don't want to admit it, bro.
It says waysandmeans.gov. Gas prices have more than doubled since Biden's first term.
Oh my God, bro. Hey, just scroll up really quick.
This is from 2022. It's not.
Can you just scroll up?
What does the AI say?
There it is. Yes, I knew it.
I haven't denied that.
Bro.
Why are you laughing at me? I didn't even deny that.
Thank you. Thanks, bud.
What is this?
You just made my point, bro. It says over $5. Thank you, man.
I never said it wasn't.
Thank you. Okay, then, so how is Trump bad, bro, if it's cheaper under Trump right now?
I already answered that. Did you listen to my answer?
I already answered that. You didn't answer shit, bro. How is it Trump bad when it's still cheaper now?
I'm just going to accept that you're not going to bring me a source because you just read AI, but I believe you. It doesn't really matter.
No, I'm not just reading AI. I know that number's factual, bro. You just don't want to hear it. But here's the deal. How are you mad at Trump when it's still cheaper now? The average of gas is still $4.50 for unleaded gas.
Do you want me to answer again? Because I already answered. I will tell you my answer again if you want me to answer. Again, because I already did answer that.
No, because you're gonna sit here and lie to your simp audience, bro.
You don't want me to answer it again?
Because I already know over $5 is factual. You just don't want to believe it. Oh, it's AI.
I'm not denying it. I think AI is not the best source for that, but I believe you that the peak was slightly above $5. I haven't denied that once on the show. Why are you
so can you
accusing me of denying that when I haven't denied that? So
you're not denying it. You're admitting it. So why don't you say, hey, congratulations, Trump, for keeping gas at $4.50 and still being at war with Iran?
I already answered that. Do you want me to answer again? I asked you that question a second ago.
I already answered that. Just answer my question, bro.
Well, a second ago, I asked you if you want me to answer it again, and you said no, so I didn't. But then you asked me again. Do you want me to answer it again?
No, I really don't want you to answer. I want you to know that we pay like $4, $3 for gas here in Florida. What state do you live in?
Minnesota.
How much are you paying the average there?
$4.60, $4.80. I think some of my neighbors.
It's still cheaper.
Chat's telling
it's cheaper.
I already answered that. You don't seem to want to answer it again.
This guy is a clown, bro.
I'm gonna thank Vera for sending me how much.
So here's the deal, bro. Here's the deal.
Somebody sent me $50 on Venmo. Hold on, that's a pretty sizable donation. Somebody sent me $50
on your fake donation. You're gonna rage out on your fake donation. Okay, bud. But here's the deal. You guys complain before the problem even arrives, bro.
I don't want to put the last name in there, but anyway, this guy's already infuriating for $50.
Before the problem even arrives, dude.
I don't know, dude. You're yelling, and I'm just trying to. Do you want me to answer your question or not? I will answer it again if you want to. Thank you for the $50, Vera. Seriously, that's a huge deal for my show. That's like a huge deal for my continued ability
Vera,
to do this.
Thank you for giving him $50. He doesn't have a job.
Seriously,
so $50 is a lot of money to him.
Well, this is my job. So the fact that
this is your job, bro.
It just became a higher paying.
$100 a week.
I make like $100 a day.
No, you don't, bud. I guarantee you don't.
BMG sent me $25 and says, please drop his ass.
Hold on, bro. I don't think I can say this. $500 a week. You make $500 a week. You're a bum loser, bro. You don't even make 24 grand a year.
It's not my only job.
You said this is your job.
It's a job. I have more than one job.
You said, what do you do?
Wait, slow down. I gotta thank the other person who sent me $25 asking to kick you.
Your fake donation.
And I'm torn.
You're gonna kick me. You're gonna kick me because you lost, bro.
What even was the claim? Like,
what other lies are you talking about, bro? What lies are you talking about?
Dude, what is it? Like, I'm inclined to want to kick you because somebody just paid me $25 to. I don't even know if there's a claim that I have made at all during this episode, and you're saying that I lost.
Bro, your fucking sign right there says Trump won on lies. I'm asking you, Dingaling, what lies?
We started with Iran, and I said that he lied when he said he was going to start no new wars, and then you moved on to gas prices and yelled at me for 10 minutes.
That was the first term, bud. That was his first term. We played nice the first 4 years. We're not playing nice anymore, you dum-dum.
Again, I'm not like, why are you yelling at me about gas prices? I just don't understand what is happening in this conversation. Like, why do you think that you won?
Well, first of all, stop touching your face, bud. Stop touching your face. You're not a female. You're not like, oh, I'm gonna touch my face. Bro, all you do is complain when there's not even a problem, bro. Gas is still cheaper now, and he's at war with Iran versus Biden, bro. Are you fucking bonkers in the head? Are you cuckoo?
Do you want me to answer that? Because I already answered it.
Did you wake up this morning and eat your Frosted Flakes your mom served you and drink your orange juice, like power your fucking brain?
Dude. What, like, Is this how you farm clips? Like,
can you tell me what lies he's talking about, bro? Oh, he showed no new wars. Yeah, first 4 years, you dum-dum.
All right.
Are you going to kick me now?
Yeah,
You're
the
gonna
chat
kick me?
really
You're
wants
scared.
you gone.
You're scared. I'm bringing you money, though.
I'm so scared.
I'm bringing you money.
I'm so scared. Thank you, that caller, for helping me beat my viewership record. Everybody get double tapping on the screen so we can get over 500. And we're going to talk to Jay Geekman. Hopefully he's going to... hopefully he's going to actually discuss a claim with me before declaring the W. But before I let... Oh, he left right away, but that's okay, because I got a Cash App donation, so I am just going to read that out really quick. Sorry, VMG, for taking so long to kick him. I feel bad, because you paid for that, but that's also not necessarily guaranteed to get the guest kicked. So anyway, just really, really quick before we move on. Oh, show me my notifications. Oh, it's still loading. All right, you're gonna get your thanks in just a moment. We're gonna bring the fucking menace in. That's his username. That'll hopefully be interesting. How old are you?
I'm not really here to kick any claims. I just wanted to ask if your flag was custom and if there was somewhere I could buy it. Also, I think you're doing great work. These people are fucking stupid. The last dude you had.
Thank you so much. I do have to cut you just for the show, but it is just a standard Minnesota State flag that somebody painted that on with paint marker, so it's just a Minnesota State flag. Sierra Mist, Sierra.mist.ri. We'll see what he or she wants to talk about. How old are you?
21.
21. What year were you born in?
2004.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna believe you. Do you support Trump?
Kind of.
Do you want him to stay president?
No.
Okay, then you don't support Trump, and I'm going to move on to the next caller. C-Dude206 might be a Trump supporter. Let's see about that. Hello, C-Dude206. How old are you? Hello? Hello? Okay, he's gone. We only have regular callers. Splinter's back. Maybe Splinter will make another appearance, but we're going to skip Keemokazi also because he has been on more recently than Hoodlum, who hasn't been on in a little while. So I don't actually remember which caller Hoodlum is, but it's a familiar username. How old are you, Hoodlum?
51.
51. You support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Why not?
He doesn't follow the Constitution.
Okay, doesn't follow the Constitution. That's all you got?
That's a big one. That's not all I've got. I've got lots. That's just the first thing I say when people ask me that question because it encompasses most of the problem in one concise sentence. And by the way, Courtney's message has loaded. She says, see if this dude can define whataboutism. We'll see if he can if he comes back up because he was still in the request queue. Thank you very much, Courtney. I very much appreciate it. Yeah, so Trump not following the Constitution. You don't think that it's a big deal if the U.S. president doesn't follow the Constitution?
Okay, how has he broke the Constitution?
He files executive orders that goes directly against the Constitution, like the direct language of the Constitution. That's one example. There are many examples. He was also asked in an interview.
Whoa. Just stop right there. Okay. So give me an example of an executive order. Give me a number.
14160.
Okay. And what language are you talking about? Read it out to the class.
The language in the 14th Amendment that says that all persons born in the jurisdiction of the United States are citizens thereof, unless they are the two noteworthy exceptions that the Constitution has for that. I'm not reading it. I've just had this conversation so many times, but...
so you're just lazy.
I am
Typical leftist.
Okay.
Typical progressive leftist.
Okay.
Lazy.
Okay.
You make this outlandish statement. You're not prepared to back it up, and you want to have a conversation, my guy?
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes you irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and by the way, is that not before the Supreme Court? Did you listen to the oral arguments and the briefings that were submitted?
You know what? I just got a message from the mods that
I don't give a fuck about what messages you got to the mods.
The mods just messaged me that caller has admitted to viewing CSAM, and I think the mods are... I'm going to trust my mods and say we're not going to platform that guy. W guessed, I imagine, is going to be people's conclusion about that one. Anyway, all right, we'll talk to Keemokazi. We'll see what Keemokazi's up to today. Keemokazi, if I recall, you are freshly 18, right?
Yes, I am.
Yep, I remember you. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about Trump won on lies. Your prompt, Mr. Big Guy.
I mean, that's the prompt today. I think you know how the show works. We often don't stay on the prompt. It's really
I
not that
know
long.
how it works.
Okay, so what do you want to discuss? You're the caller.
I want to discuss that right there.
Okay. Do you want me to give an example of a lie that he told to
Go
win?
for it.
He ran on a platform of not starting any wars, and we are currently at war with Iran.
Where did he start this platform at?
Where did he start this platform at? I don't understand your question.
Where
Oh my
did
goodness.
he
Wait,
start?
hold on. Keemokazi, give me just a break because I was so sad that I didn't kick the guest for VMG because they sent me $25, but they sent me $25 two more times. So I'm going to read their messages. They are both
I literally just got up here. They sent it before I was even up here, dude.
I know that. I'm just interrupting the call to
Don't
thank them
kick me because you're scared.
I'm not kicking
you.
you.
And everyone else.
I'm not kicking you. I'm just asking you to wait a moment while I thank my donors because it's the donors that make the show able to happen. So the reason you're talking to me at all is because VMG and people like him send me money. So VMG says they are both Miss V very intelligently one's business account. I don't know what they're trying to say to me there. Sorry, I don't interpret your message very well, but I'm in a bit of a hurry, so I'll try to interpret that better lately. And VMC says drop, and that was for the previous caller, not you. So I already did. Thank you very much, VMG. I seriously, I think this is more donations than I've ever gotten in an episode. So thank all of you so much for that. Keemokazi, sorry, where were we on Iran? Oh, and I see Miss V Marie intelligently in the chat is saying that's who they are. She says they are all me. You get an exception for all caps. Mods don't mute. Thank you so much. That's incredible. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Where were we?
We were. We didn't even really get started. And you just started yapping.
Yeah, that is kind of how it goes. We were on Iran because Trump lied about not going to war with Iran, and now we're at war with Iran.
Yeah, tell me how he lied.
He said that he wasn't going to start any wars. He was the president of no new wars.
And when did he say that?
On his campaign and for like the first year of his presidency until he went to war.
When? How many years ago?
Like last year, like recently, right before. I mean, pretty much up until he started the war in Iran, he said he wasn't going to be starting any wars. The phrase was no new wars. He like had a slogan, no new wars.
Play the clip.
I you know what? I actually refuse. I'm just going to say anybody can Google Trump no new wars. I think it's common enough knowledge that he ran on this. It's not a good use of...
You want us to see all the fake stuff? All right, bro.
Last time you and I talked, Keemokazi, we had a discussion about how you determine if something is fake, and we didn't make very much progress because what you said is that you listen to smart people who aren't delusional, but then I couldn't really figure out how you determined which people are saying the smart things because it sounds like if you listen to them, you just believe the stuff that you think sounds good. We didn't really make much progress on that conversation.
Because I can tell when something sounds absolutely insane, and I can tell when something doesn't. Can you? No, you can't. That's why you're falling down this rampage of wherever you're going with this.
I think I do a pretty good job of assessing if things are true, and you and I have discussed that in the past. Do you think if you think that it's not true that Trump, said no new wars? I mean, I guess that's a negative claim, so it's not like you can bring me an article that shows that Trump didn't say that. I just consider it so easily Googleable that it's like really not worth the time on the show to discuss.
Well, because it doesn't really matter. He's the president. Things change.
Chat's asking why do we even talk to 18-year-olds, and the answer is because you can vote. You have voting rights.
Because I'm old enough, you idiots. Just go ahead.
Well, I allow you on my show because you're old enough to vote. So that's the reason you're here. Who
am I talking to? Quit being fans. I'm talking to Oskar here. Shh, pipe down. Pipe down, all you liberals.
I feel like I need to move on if you're not going to make some kind of claim, because I think that you know that Trump ran on no new wars, and we're just going to sit here and argue.
Dude, you act like things can't change. Just because he says no wars doesn't mean crap.
If somebody says
Iran did it, right? Iran has done it to themselves all these years, bro. We all know this, dude.
All right,
Kamala would not have done anything to stop anything, bro.
unless you
know
make
this,
unless you
and
make a
she's
claim,
complete idiot.
unless you make a claim that isn't just like, trust me, bro, I hate Kamala because she's a woman or whatever it is, I'm not interested in the debate. So, like, what's your claim? What are we talking about? Where's this conversation going? You got to tell me, or I'm going to move on.
Earth is flat. Prove me on it, on how it's round.
Like, I would even discuss that with you if you I kicked him. I would even discuss that with him if he was able to navigate it in such a way that he wasn't going to get a misinformation flag on TikTok, but he's going to for having just said it like that. So, you know what? Just to get the views back up to 500, double tap on the screen. We're going to bring Splinter back in for like a second and see what he wants to talk about. What's up, Splinter? You going to try again?
Hold on. Yeah, let's try this again, bro. Let's just ask. We're going to ask basic, easy questions. These are yes or no questions. Now, you technically say you know everything, bro. You know
I didn't say that. Never said that. Never said that.
Okay, so hold on.
I said I didn't know. You asked me for a number, and I said I didn't know precisely what it was.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Is the average for unleaded gas right now $4.50 a gallon? Yes or no?
I don't know. I don't know what the average is.
It is, bro. Now, under Biden, did it go above $5? Yes or no?
I don't know. I asked for a source, and you couldn't provide me anything but AI.
Okay, so I'll provide you the source. Give me a second. Let me hop on the computer.
What, you couldn't have done that while you were gone, dude? Like, you're bad at this. Come on, you should have come back.
I already know I'm right, though. But you
kind of.
You don't want to admit. You just don't want to accept it, man.
I don't know, man. I'm sitting here trying to let you prove your point, and it's just not working. So you can come back again later if you actually find your resource. I kicked him again. We're gonna talk to Isaiah, see if Isaiah has any claims that are worth discussing. Isaiah, how old are you?
Hey, how you doing? I'm 24.
24. Do you support Trump?
Not really. I kind of think Israel runs everything, in my honest opinion.
That's fair, but I am looking to talk to Trump supporters, so we're going to talk to Butcher D's. I think we can all finish the word that we're supposed to imagine after the end of that username. Butcher D's. How old are you?
Yo.
Are you driving a car?
No, I'm passenger right now.
Driver, say something.
Shit.
Yeah, too much road noise also. Like, never mind the fact that it's like a risk for my account to have a guest on who, like, the auto system is going to think is driving. It's also just terrible for the podcast. The only person in the queue is Splinter. Maybe he has a source. Well, round 3, go. Oh, I should get like a bell. Like, ding, round 3, go. Splinter, do you have a source?
Yep, I do. So
what do I Google?
AAA. Just type in AAA. You know what AAA is?
AAA is a good source for gas prices, yes.
AAA fuel prices, yeah, AAA. So
okay.
it went over $5 under Biden.
Hold on. All right, so you want me to look at this page, or is there like a... let's see. Does this show historical averages? How do I navigate to this? Did I click the right thing?
Okay, do you see where it says national average prices right there? Do you see the current average? What does it say? For what?
453.
Okay. Now... let's go back to, so now that I proved that to you, that the average gas prices are $4.50 a gallon right now.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and find the article right.
You didn't even find your second source? Like again, if you want to do this...
I did. I found one of them.
Bro,
Show the fuck out, bro.
Why are you stalling? Why are you running away from this, dude? You don't even know.
Why am I'm stalling?
Dude, come on. What's the answer? You can't even prove it. You can't even I'm using your tactics against you, dude.
I'm stalling? Is that what you're saying, dude? No, you kick me every time I cook you, bro.
I'm literally doing what you were doing, but it's whatever. Dude, like what?
I'm trying to get you the sources. So hold on.
I'm probably going to kick you the moment there's somebody else in the queue. So if somebody else wants to take the mic.
Yeah, because I already proved you wrong, bro.
Prove me wrong on what?
I just proved you wrong, dude.
You asked me what the national average was today, and I said that I don't know.
So you don't know and you're talking shit?
Well, now I do. We looked it up. It's 453.
Okay, so here's another source for you. Go to...
oh, my gosh.
Hang on. Go to...
yeah.
Axios. Go to Axios.
Axios.
And just type in national average gas price hits $5 per gallon for the first time.
Okay. $5. You know, I think
so. Was that under Trump?
I think
was that under Trump or Biden?
I think the claim that you're like accusing me of making is that gas prices are higher than they've ever been, but I'm not making that claim. So I don't understand what it is you're trying to argue.
So then, hold on, bro. Let me get this straight.
I'm also not finding the article you're looking for.
Bro, hold on. Gas prices is still cheaper, and he's in war with Iran versus Biden. Are you not comprehending that, bro?
I already answered that, and I asked you multiple times if you wanted me to answer it again. What is the claim that you're trying to defeat me on? I haven't asserted anything in my conversation with you.
Okay, so is gas cheaper now under Trump or Biden?
Well, I'm just going to say that you were trying to show me this source. You said that there's an Axios article, and I can't find it. What's it called?
It's Axios. Gas price is $5 per gallon. Just type in Axios $5 per gallon for the first time. The article is from 2022, buddy.
Yeah, again, it sounds like that was the peak. I'm not denying that.
Under who?
Biden.
Okay, so dude, you just made my point. Gas is more expensive under Biden than Trump, and Trump is at war with Iran, bro.
I never claimed that the gas prices were at an all-time high.
You don't say it like that. You say gas is more expensive under Trump than Biden. That's how you say it. You word it that way. So you confuse your audience, bro.
Go find a clip of me saying those words, because I don't say those words. What I say is that...
I got a question.
Wait,
do we get our oil from Iran?
You're literally accusing me of saying something that I don't say. Like, what is the point of me looking at articles if you're just going to put words in my mouth? I don't say that. What I say is that Trump increased the gas prices by starting the war, which is an obvious truth.
No, it's not. Hey, do we get our oil from Iran?
We get our oil from the global market to a large degree, and the global market includes oil from Iran.
Where do we get our oil from then? Where do we get our oil from?
Saudi Arabia, Venezuela a little bit right now. Actually, we're selling that oil. What does it matter? The point is it's a commodity. The price goes up if there's a shortage.
So then hold on, bro. Hold on. You'll sit here and say, oh, the gas prices spiked because of the war in Iran.
Canada.
Do you know where does Iran send their oil? Do you know who they send it to? Who buys it?
I don't think you understand the economics of this. You understand that it doesn't matter who buys.
God, bro,
it doesn't. Let me ask you a question. You've been asking a lot of questions. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
You understand that it doesn't matter who buys what oil, right? Because it's a commodity. It's just all affects...
What?
Yeah.
What? What the fuck are you talking about, bro?
Like...
Yeah, it does matter who buys the oil, bro. This is a chess move, bro. What are you talking about? China's buying all the oil from Iran.
Yeah, but
where does... Hold on, bro.
It's a commodity price. What's the...
Hold on. Where does NATO get their oil from? You don't fucking know anything, bro. You're dumb.
I'm just baffled by your stupidity. I don't understand how you're not getting...
stupid. You don't know fucking anything, dude.
You don't understand what a commodity is.
Where does NATO get their oil from, bud?
NATO is a group of a bunch of countries, mostly European countries, so they get a lot of their oil...
Yeah, where do they get their oil from? Just answer the question.
The Middle East, mostly.
So they go through the Strait of Hormuz, right?
Well, that...
They get it through there, right?
That and the... I gotta remove
You're just a retard, bro.
Oh, yeah. Wow, it's almost like the harassment and bullying flag predicted that he was going to slur and run, because it actually popped up on my screen before he slurred and run. What the fuck? NATO is not an organization that buys oil. It's a group of countries that individually themselves buy oil from various places. My goodness. We're going to talk to Christian Colunga. Oh, my God. Sorry, I know the mods are freaking out. I do have my eye on the Oskar is live chat. Let me know if that's the right one to be looking at, or if I should be looking at mods only. Should I be looking at mods only? Oh my goodness, I will consider these things later. Sorry, Christian Colunga, how old are you?
26.
26. Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Okay, why?
What did you say?
Why do you support Trump?
Because he's done nothing but put America first. That's why.
Then why are we at war with Iran in favor of Israel?
Hey, let me ask you this. Do you think that Iran should have a nuclear weapon?
No.
Okay, so you agree we should stop them, right, from having a nuclear weapon?
Well, I think that we should take a broader look at that issue and consider the fact that Obama had negotiated a deal with Iran, which is what Trump said he should do. Otherwise, he'd be a bad president for going to war with them. He said that about Obama, and then throughout Obama's negotiations, the JCPOA in his first term gave them 5 years to develop nuclear technology, which they were then allowed to do because he backed out of the Iran deal. And now he's using nuclear weapons as an excuse to go to war with them, which doesn't even make sense because there are many countries that have nukes that we don't like that have nukes. So it's still not a good reason to go to war with them. What's your point?
I think that bringing up Obama in this discussion is hilarious.
I brought up something that Trump did, which is that he threw out Obama's negotiations, which is what I was talking about what Trump said about Obama and the history of our relationship with Iran.
You think that giving a terrorist regime over $1 billion in cash is a good idea?
I think if it prevents nuclear war, that's probably a good deal, yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like if a serial murderer is like, hey, bro, I'm not going to do it again. Are you going to give them back their AR-15?
Well, Trump gave them back the AR-15 in this analogy. You understand that, right?
No. How did he give them back the AR-15? How did Trump do that?
Well, you're concerned about the AR-15 is an analogy for the nukes, right?
Access to getting nukes, yes.
Okay. Trump gave that back to them by throwing away the JCPOA. What's the...
Okay, so do you know the history for the past 20 years of Iran?
I was referencing it, and you got mad at me for bringing up Obama, who was president during the last 20 years.
Because if you actually knew the history, then you would know that Trump's the only one that stopped it. Okay, so Obama bent the knee and gave them over $1 billion and called it a good...
When
Are you going to let me finish? Are you going to let me finish?
No, because I want to clarify. When you said stopped it, you were specifically referring... You were specifically referring to them not having nukes, right? Stopping them from having nukes?
Yes.
Okay, Obama stopped that with the JCPOA. Trump gave the nukes back.
What did the JCPOA do?
It allowed American inspectors to go boots on the ground in Iran and inspect their nuclear facilities to make sure that they weren't enriching uranium to a degree that would be useful for nuclear weapons. They were allowed to enrich uranium for the nuclear power programs, which is reasonable.
Okay, so since the JCPOA was recently stopped, have they been enriching uranium?
It wasn't all that recently.
No.
It was in Trump's first term.
Let me finish talking so this can be a constructive conversation. Since the JCPOA was
Correction from the chat, it wasn't just our inspectors, it was inspectors from multiple countries, but go on.
Okay, that's fine. Were they enriching uranium past 5%?
While the JCPOA was in effect?
Yes.
No. It was 3%.
Yes, they were. Yeah, no. 3% is what you need. 3% is what anything past 3% is past energy capabilities. It's
okay. So your claim is that Iran was violating the JCPOA?
Yes, they were violating the JCPOA.
Okay, what is your evidence for that claim? Because that people bring me that claim all the time.
They literally came out and said that.
I've literally sat and Googled for an hour with a guest and tried to find that evidence, and I seriously.
Their own ambassador, Abbas, came out and said that they had enriched to, I think it was 70-something%, and you need 90% in order to use a
source.
Abbas himself said that.
Okay,
an ambassador
where is the source?
Iran
okay,
said,
I am not aware of the ambassador saying that. If I want to believe you when you tell me that the ambassador says that, what do I Google to find out if that's true or false?
Look up Iran ambassador in nuclear enrichment.
Sorry, I'm not good at talking while typing. Iran ambassador, nuclear.
Nuclear enrichment will never stop.
Well, that was in 2025, 5 years after Trump got rid of the deal. That makes perfect sense. What's the problem?
Okay, if it's such a great deal, then why didn't Joe Biden put it back in place?
You know what? I actually don't know off the top of my head what Biden may have done to Trump.
That's right.
But
okay, so look.
Wait, now how is your answer to the fact that Trump backed out of the deal? Why didn't Biden restart it?
Are you going to let me finish talking about Iran so I can tell you on why Trump is the one that's helping us?
So once again,
okay, okay, guys, are y'all seeing this? He's not letting me make my point.
I'm trying to demonstrate whether your point is true or false. You said that the ambassador said that will never stop, right?
Yes.
In 2025, he said that last year. Is that your claim?
I saw something this year that said that they had enriched past a certain percentage, and they're not going to stop.
Okay, I really genuinely, I mean this. I really want to ask you a question, because every person who calls in and says that the JCPOA was being violated doesn't seem to understand this. You do understand that if the JCPOA restricts how much nuclear enrichment they can do, for them to violate that agreement, they have to enrich past that amount while the agreement is in effect, right?
So are you siding with Iran right now?
I need you to answer the question. For them to violate the JCPOA, they have to do the thing that violates the JCPOA while the JCPOA is in effect, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. You got cut off there. You're breaking up. Are you saying yes to that?
I said yeah, sure. I guess. I guess I can see.
I don't think you should guess. I think that's how an agreement works. I think that if I terminate an agreement and then
do you know why the agreement was terminated though?
That's a question for Trump. He's the one who terminated it.
No, yes. It's a question for anybody that pays attention. He got terminated because he sanctioned the hell out of them. So look, I'm going to give you a little history lesson on Iran for the past 20 years.
Wait,
Obama
hold
comes
on.
in.
No, we're not done talking about. We're not done talking about the violations. No, it's non-constructive because you keep moving on to different things within this issue. You're kind of pivoting within the topic, which is still pivoting. I'm not done discussing with you whether or not Iran violated the JCPOA, because what you said is that their ambassador said that they were never going to stop enriching uranium. He said that 5 years after Trump threw the deal away. Do you understand that?
I'd have to look more into it, but what I do know is they were funding terror organizations.
That was your source. You asked me to Google what the ambassador said. He said it last summer.
Click on the source. Click on the source.
Oh my God, dude. Okay, yeah, here. Iran's nuclear enrichment will never stop.
No, click on it.
I'm clicking on it, dude. Relax. Okay, what do you want me to read about? How far down this rabbit hole
wherever you're saying that. Wherever you're saying that.
Here's the date.
Here's your point. Go ahead.
Let me get rid of this box here. Maybe later. So June of 2025, last year, right? Do you see this date? Can you read it?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, when is that?
2025.
Okay, and Trump threw away the nuclear deal in his first term, which ended in January of 2021, correct?
I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that.
What?
Either way, they're enriching uranium.
It's not either way. No. The whole thing is whether or not they were violating the JCPOA.
Okay, then why did it not get reinstated then? Why did the Biden and Harris administration?
It was a massive international agreement between Iran and the United States that Obama brokered. Trump threw it away, and your answer to why Trump threw it away and whether or not they were violating it is why didn't Biden reinstate it? That's not just a question for Biden. That's a question for Iran. I don't happen to know if he tried. It'd probably be good if he did. I don't think it's relevant.
I'm assuming that he what's it called? Went away with the agreement is because he sanctioned the hell out of them and made them a poor country.
Okay, I'm not going to move on from this ambassador thing. You said that the ambassador stated that they were violating the JCPOA. Do you recognize that the ambassador stating that in June of 2025 is not evidence of them violating an agreement that expired 5 years prior to that?
Right. Why are we still talking about the JCPOA?
That is the entire topic of the conversation.
No, it's not. The entire topic of you're finding something I'm a little bit less informed about, so you're trying to hone in on that.
The thing that you're not very informed about is the claim that you brought to my show.
No, the thing that you're not informed about is the history of Iran. Obama gave them.
I'm not going to move on. Yes or no? This is a yes or no question. We are not allowed to proceed in the show until you answer it.
This is literally what you do, bro.
Then answer. Yes, this is exactly what I do. I force you to answer the question. The question is, does the UN ambassador from Iran from 2025 saying that they're enriching uranium, does that mean that they violated the agreement that had expired 5 years earlier? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so then will you concede that when you brought that to me, it was a useless, irrelevant piece of information that did not prove your claim?
I don't understand. You're literally arguing for a country that wants to nuke you.
I'm arguing against this very specific claim you made. I don't like Iran. And the chat is telling me that Obama did try to put the agreement back in not Obama. Biden did try to put the agreement back in 2021. I'm going to believe the chat. That sounds like something that he would do.
What's your source? What's your source?
I just told you that my source is the chat, and I am just going to believe them because
what a great source.
Okay, I'm not going to let us get sidetracked until you answer this question. Do you recognize that it is irrelevant that the ambassador said that in 2025? He's muted. I don't know why he's muted.
You brought up the war. You said that the war is bad. I'm telling you the reason why the war is happening right now is because the ambassador said they're enriching uranium and they're not going to stop. That is why what's going on right now is
and that is Trump's fault for throwing away the JCPOA, which is why I'm talking about the JCPOA. So you're right that that's very bad. It is also Trump's fault. He did
so
it
do you
himself.
think that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris lifting sanctions is okay?
It is Trump's fault that Iran was enriching uranium. True or false? Hello? Unmute yourself, please. Why are you muted? Come on, you're on my show. I'm going to kick you and move on. There's other people in the queue, and there's a lot of people watching. What is this? The chat wants you gone. I'm already getting people telling me to kick you. Like, I got to kind of llisten to the chat. They pay my bills.
Yeah.
Are you going to defend this position or not?
I mean, if you'll let me talk instead of talking over me and making an irrelevant point. Do you think that Joe
I'm not going to clown on the guests for having baby issues.
Do you think that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris lifting sanctions is okay?
I'm not willing to answer irrelevant questions. I really don't want to let you out of this situation.
Well, that's not irrelevant. They wouldn't be able to afford to enrich uranium if their sanctions had not been lifted. So, again, when Trump was first in office, his first term,
They wouldn't have been able to. They wouldn't have been able to enrich. They would not have been able to. I don't use the mute button. I let the guests look bad, and I am just going to keep asserting that they wouldn't have been able to enrich uranium if Trump hadn't backed out of the JCPOA.
They wouldn't have been able to afford to enrich uranium if they didn't lift sanctions. He forced them to not be able to afford to lift sanctions by sanctioning them his first term.
True or false? If Trump had not pulled out of the JCPOA, Iran would have not been able to enrich uranium because of the JCPOA.
They would not have been able to afford to enrich uranium if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did not lift their sanctions.
We are talking about the things that Trump has done. We're talking about Trump. The prompt for today is that Trump lied to his constituents to get into office. We're specifically talking about some things that he did. And every time I ask you,
everybody donating to me right now. Hey, guys, do you know how many barrels of oil Iran was selling per day under...
I'm not going to let you move on. Recognize the
under
fact
Trump's first administration, they were selling about 4 million barrels of oil a day. He put a sanction on them. Then they went down to 200,000 barrels of oil per day. It significantly cut their income. Then guess what? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came into office, lifted the sanctions, and it allowed them to get rich and fund their terrorist organizations again. And then guess what? October 7th happened. War happened in the Middle East. Now everybody's saying free Palestine. But what they're not seeing is that it all happened because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris lifted their sanctions and allowed them to get rich again. This would not be happening if they could not afford to fund terror. They're able to fund terror right now because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris lifted their sanctions.
Like you're not even. Not only is it irrelevant to talk about what happened after Trump backed out of the JCPOA. I
never said that Iran was not selling oil.
I have some trusted parties in the chat who I do trust as my fact checkers who are saying that the claims you're making about what they did are literally false. But in addition to being false, they're literally irrelevant because the whole problem is that Iran is no longer in the JCPOA, which was stopping them from making nuclear weapons. Why are you sidestepping that? Why are you not seeing that as important?
You think a country that wants to blow up the world cares about a little piece of paper?
They were following it. It was working, yes.
No, they were not. They were still funding terror. ISIS was still a thing. Hamas was still a thing.
The question is, were they enriching nuclear uranium? That's the question. That's what the JCPOA was about. Iran's a bad actor. They're going to be up to stuff.
This is hilarious. That
The
you're literally
JCPOA
pivoting and you're trying to make your party not look
does
bad
not stop
by
them. Listen,
by not saying that your party is allowing terror to be funded.
Listen,
It's crazy.
listen. The JCPOA doesn't stop Iran from doing everything bad they could possibly do. So the fact that you have examples of them doing things that you don't like doesn't prove me wrong. All I'm saying is that the JCPOA prevented them from having nuclear weapons, which it sounds like from this call is your primary concern. So I ask you again, why did Trump throw away the JCPOA? What was his reasoning?
Likely because he sanctioned them.
That didn't work, and now there's a nuclear
Okay, you know what?
concern,
Let's do
and
this.
we are at
Oscar,
war.
pull up the JCPOA then.
I'm not reading you the JCPOA because you don't even care.
No, pull up. Why did Trump get rid of the JCPOA? Pull it up then. Since you want to pull up
my argument, because he's not transparent. You can't just Google what his thoughts are. Like, there's no Google article that says why.
Well, look up
Trump's
what happened and what happened from the JCPOA.
I am arguing. Yeah, what happened is that they
you had
started,
no problem pulling up Google earlier. Why are you having a problem pulling this up right now?
For the reason I just said, because there isn't a Google website that tells you what Donald Trump is thinking. I am arguing that the reason he backed out of the JCPOA was to let them develop nuclear weapons so that then he could go to war
Google
with
this.
them.
Google
That is
this,
what
because
happened.
I'm not using Google. I'm using my brain right now.
All right, dude. Too many people are telling me to kick you. You can come back, try again later.
You're
try
a
again
weak host, bro. You're a weak host.
W guest for getting kicked for not being able to answer a single fucking question. Palantir hater, I love you. I'm so sorry it took me so long to kick him. I gotta hang on a little. I gotta hang on long enough. I gotta hang on long enough to be able to for it to be a clear W for me to kick the guest, even though I know it's going to go there. Everybody go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms. I'm doing like pretty good expanding on the other platforms, and that's a huge deal to me for like the growth of the channel and for my success doing this. So, and if you want to like support directly, there's ways to donate on there. I almost feel bad like promoting the ways to donate because we had like 2 donors who already made this show like a big show for donations for me. So just like thanks everybody. That's huge. Shout out again to VMG and Vera for making the show highly profitable today. It's a big deal for me to have a big whale of a show every now and then. It balances the books for the month on doing this. We're gonna talk to Dadbod. We're gonna see what Dadbod wants to talk about. How old are you? You are muted. I don't know why. Sorry, say your age again.
45.
45. You support Trump?
Yes.
Why?
I actually kind of wanted to just follow up on what you were just talking about. As far as the JCPOA is concerned, some of the criticisms, specifically as to why it's justified that Trump decided to terminate it, were red flags like sunset clauses, for example. Now, I know one could probably debate against that and say, well, sunset clauses,
Are you driving a car?
Reinstituted.
You driving?
No, I'm on Bluetooth though. Do you want me to disconnect from my Bluetooth?
Yeah,
headset?
I think that'll help the audio. Sorry, it's good. People don't want to listen if it's crunchy.
Yeah, hold on really quick.
Go ahead. What's going on in the chat? People recognize Dadbod. He's a regular. I don't recognize him. He's a new one for me. But hopefully he'll come back with better audio and we can see what
Okay, how do I sound better now?
So much better, dude. So much better.
Yeah, I was wearing cheap Bluetooth. I typically I've got like 5 or 6 different pair of Bluetooth headsets that I'm constantly testing out.
All right. So you were trying to justify Trump pulling out of the JCPOA. Why did Trump pull out of the JCPOA?
Well, I'm not justifying it. What I'm saying is some of the criticisms or red flags that have been mentioned as far as the JCPOA is concerned were there were instances in which people questioned the integrity of how they were actually being inspected, how stringent they were, but also the sunset clauses. The sunset clauses specifically, and I'm sure you're probably already familiar with what that is, but the sunset clauses were another red flag where people were like, well, it's just essentially a temporary halt to enriching uranium.
Can I wait? I just want to wait, please. I just need to jump on that right away because I could argue that working my job this month is a temporary solution to pay for my housing because it's not going to pay for my housing in 5 or 10 years. I might not necessarily have the same job, right?
Yeah, sure. And like I was going to say, one could debate the fact that sunset clauses, can be reinstituted once.
Okay. So one of the important things about negotiating something like the JCPOA is that if you do understand that Iran has to agree to it, right? Like that's a big part of whether or not a deal is a good one is whether the other party agrees to it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I think it's impractical to try to get a country to agree to not make nukes forever. So we have to handle it like 5 or 10 years at a time. So yeah, there was like an end on this agreement that was far enough in the future that perhaps Iran could have spent a few years not nuclearizing, not going, having the US bomb them, not having them fall backwards in terms of becoming one of the developed countries that's like not warring with other nations on the planet. Like they could have made progress that put them in a better position to want to continue a path of denuclearization at the end, at the sunsetting of the JCPOA. That's not going to fucking happen because of what Trump is doing. And I just don't think it's relevant to say that it would have been better if there wasn't sunsetting, because no such agreement would have been agreed to by Iran.
Okay. One could argue that hypothetically, though, as to historically, if you just look at Iran overall, historically have not been 100% forthcoming. Now, I would say also,
okay, wait,
we haven't been 100% forthcoming.
Do you recognize that that saying that there's sunsetting is not super important in observation, because there's always going to be sunsetting on this type of agreement, regardless of which country we're talking about, like any of that. Like no leader in Iran or any other country is going to make a promise to the United States for 50 or 100 years. You recognize that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
okay,
again,
so
like I said,
so I'm asking, why are you bringing that up?
So, like I said, I was not justifying the ending of the JCPOA. I was saying that these were some of the criticisms initially that were brought up as to why Trump did what he did. Again, I didn't say I necessarily agree with it or don't disagree with it. That's just one of the things that were, one of the talking points. Now, the other thing too that was a concern, and this is obviously after Trump's first administration.
What do you mean?
The enrichment.
Wait, hold on. Callers say this all the time. What do you mean when you say it's just one of the talking points? What does that phrase mean to you? Just one of the talking points.
So these are some of the rebuttals that people come up with when arguing this specific topic is what I'm referring to.
Okay, yeah. So you're just are you saying that it's just one of the talking points, what I said or what you said?
No, what I said is one of the talking points.
Okay,
again,
then you're just like admitting to regurgitating talking points that you don't have good defenses for?
No, what I'm saying is I literally, and I'll reiterate what I already said, was these are some of the criticisms as to the justification as to why Trump did what he did.
Okay.
That I was just clarifying, just for context. I'm very big on context and nuance.
That's fine.
But what I was getting at was in I think it was in April, if I remember correctly, of 2021. We found out that Iran had surpassed a 60% enrichment for uranium. Now, of course, this was under the
2
Biden
or 3
administration.
years after the deal. What year? I always forget exactly what year the deal was thrown out. It was like 2018 or 2019.
I think I think it was 2019, but I couldn't tell you.
Okay, yeah. So them having enriched uranium years later, again. How is it that every conversation about the JCPOA is about stuff that they did not during the JCPOA? Yeah, of course they were enriching uranium. That's obvious.
I think the biggest concern was the fact that if it was just, if I'm correct on 2019, the fact that they reached 60% within 2 years was substantial enough to raise a red flag.
Yeah. And the reason that people bring this concern to me is because if you were starting from scratch, that is too fast. You're correct. They weren't starting from scratch because there's nothing in the JCPOA that said that they needed to literally demolish the buildings that they were enriching uranium in. A lot of the infrastructure and equipment around it still existed and sat dormant for the time that the JCPOA was in effect. Again, would it have been better to require them to demolish those buildings? Probably, but we negotiated a deal that they would accept to, so they were able to, in a lot of ways, pick up where they left off when Trump threw the deal away. So yeah, again, this all just makes sense to me.
Right. The other concern, however, though, was the fact that, and this is to your point, where Trump, ended the JCPOA, they actually had the funding to, continue their uranium enrichment. The problem is at 60% threshold, it doesn't take that much more to get to the point to where you do have nuclear capabilities, and so that was just based off of personal observation, what I've seen, that was kind of what it seems like, as far as what's being promulgated, it seems like to be the biggest issue is once you're at 60%.
I hear you. I don't know what the point you're trying to make is, though.
Okay, so what I'm saying is one could look at it from a perspective and say, well, that's the justification, or that is enough to go off of to say it's justified for Trump to do what he did. Because if we're seeing the enrichment being at 60%, even 2 years after the JCPOA was thrown out, then that means that they did have the capabilities to potentially go nuclear if they wanted to. And that was a red flag. I mean, just like geopolitically.
You recognize I just explained like my position on that, the fact that they weren't starting from scratch, so the timeline does make sense.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm debating, I guess maybe not even debating, just trying to.
I don't know what you're debating. I don't know what your argument is.
It's okay. No, I guess what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring nuance to this in context to where people understand like some of the criticisms as to why Trump did what he did and some of the reasons why people would justify what he did. I typically, when I'm debating, not that you care, but I typically don't like to do it in a confrontational way where we're just going back and forth hating on each other. I'd rather have amicable conversation, allowing for nuance and context, because that's the way we learn from each other.
I hear you, but there has to be a little bit of confrontation when you come on and you say a bunch of information about this that has already been covered on literally this episode of my show. We've already been talking about this with previous callers. So you're just giving us a history lesson on all these details that people call in and frequently consider as relevant to their point about what Trump is doing, when the bottom line, the only thing I'm really interested in discussing with you is the fact that Trump threw away the JCPOA. He's the reason that they were enriching nuclear uranium past the point that's acceptable for their nuclear energy program. He is the reason that was a concern that he then used in his second term to bomb them and start a war. So what is your argument?
I guess it's the fact that you're specifically looking at Trump from a micro perspective and you're saying it's all him.
I'm not. I'm zooming out to include what he did in his first term. How more macro can you go than that? Do you want me to talk about what he said on The Apprentice?
Well, no, but to piggyback off of what Christian was saying, the Biden administration had the capability to supposedly reenact it, and they did not. And that was also giving them the ability to continue to enrich themselves.
Reenacting it requires Iran's participation, and I am going to trust my chat. Somebody please fact check me if I'm wrong, but I am going to trust my chat when they told me that Obama, or I keep saying Obama when I mean to say Biden. Biden tried to in 2021 or 2022 at the beginning of his term. But so again, that doesn't have to do anything with explaining what Trump did. Trump did a series of actions that has resulted in us being in a war that on his campaign trail he promised not to enter. What is your defense for that? That's the only thing I'm interested in discussing with you.
As to the escalation with Iran, I mean, there's so many hypotheticals and theories I could go over. And
it's not hypothetical what he did. We're talking about literally. I'm saying Trump did these things. Why did he do those things? There's no hypothetical here.
So if I had to take a stab at it and just theorize, and this is just to the best of my ability, I would say JCPOA for Trump specifically, he didn't like the terms of it, and Trump likes to make sure that Trump is the win, and he likes to give himself the win all the time. He likes to look good, so that was probably something that incentivized him to do that. Now, do I agree with that? Absolutely not.
I agree. Okay. So wait, stop. Let's find the common ground. I agree with you that Trump didn't like that he wasn't the one who negotiated the deal. I don't think I would add that I think he didn't like that Obama is the one who negotiated the deal. And I agree with you with what you said at the end there, that you don't agree with him throwing it away for those reasons. Am I understanding your position correctly?
Yeah, and I think that unfortunately we're probably going to have to go back to some sort of what we had prior.
So we agree. Wait, let's just handle this one term at a time. We agree that what Trump did re-Iran in his first presidential term was bad because he pulled out of the JCPOA for reasons of like hubris or whatever, instead of like for good diplomatic reasons. Do we agree on that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Then that is further evidence that the things that have happened during his second term are indefensible. Because people have died, I will remind you. Children.
Right, and I think that I don't necessarily, and I've said this before. I'm not a fan of us, with the escalation with Iran, going to war with Iran.
Then what is it you are arguing?
So that said, I'm trying to look at it again on a more so macro level, geopolitically. Now, I'm no geopolitical, strategist. I'm not an expert. I'm just being transparent here.
What
but just
are you
observationally.
arguing?
Well, let me land the plane really quick, and then you can rebuttal. What I'm trying to say though is geopolitically, it seemed like what Trump was potentially doing, besides obviously being coerced to some extent, was he was trying to potentially economically impact China long term. Now, I know that it sounds like a lot far fetched. Let me finish, and I'll be done in like 10 seconds. The reason why I came to that observation or conclusion initially, and I think maybe I was wrong, was because of what happened with Venezuela and where specifically we were getting, or not us, but where China got a majority of their crude oil from. And then also with Iran, if you looked at it, I think it was like 60% of crude oil being imported from Venezuela was going to China. And then I think if I had to take a stab, I think it was like an upper 30% from Iran. So
Dude,
I thought initially that was what was going on.
I gave you so much more than 10 seconds. What are you trying to argue about what Trump did? Because what Trump did was bad, and we're at war now. And he lied about it.
So what I'm saying is, I think that's why he did what he did with Iran, was to geopolitically hurt China's economically.
You're proposing like some 4D chess alternative for his motivations, which I would argue is still bad. But like, are you just making up a theory as to why Trump is doing something that geopolitically is going to be good over the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, I already said this is a theory based on personal observation. So yes, it's a theory.
I would call it a hypothesis, not a theory, if we're going to be really strict about what those words mean. My callers are usually not very strict about what words mean, but I would call that a hypothesis, not a theory. Do you have evidence that suggests that what he's going to do? Because if we're going to talk about the military prowess of China, explain to me what Trump is doing about Chinese shipbuilding. Explain to me what Trump is doing to weaken Chinese manufacturing, even though he's strengthening it by weakening American trade and manufacturing through tariffs. Like, I could talk about China and the things that Trump is doing and how badly he's affecting the sort of outcomes that you're saying that he's affecting by doing this war in Iran. We could go down that rabbit hole, but I just don't think that we need to when you have no evidence for a claim that you're making, when it isn't even very clear exactly what your claim is.
I mean, we do have evidence that it does impact China economically because of where they were getting their oil from.
The war in the Middle East affects everybody on the planet because of the global fuel market, just as a default. So that's like by default true for every government everywhere. What's your point?
I guess because according to you, it's a hypothesis or just a hypothetical versus a theory. If we're just going off the basic definitions of what those words mean.
A hypothesis and a hypothetical are not the same thing. They share some etymology, but they're not related concepts.
Okay. Well,
I mean, they are related because for the same reason that they share etymology. But don't tell me that I gave a hypothetical when I said that your argument is not a theory, but it's a hypothesis. What I was pointing out is that theories are proven and hypotheses are not.
Okay. Well, again, the reason why I said it was a theory, because economically it does impact China. What happened with Venezuela, as well as what happened with Iran, is impacting China economically, and then long-term economically, it will impact China as well. And that's why I was saying, as far as for justifying, if you wanted to actually have an argument about it or a debate about it, that's the justification as to why he's done what he's done with Iran.
I just don't think that you have good evidence for that type of claim, and the chat is saying that you're not making sense either. Like your through line, like I kind of see what you're trying to argue. I don't see how everything you said adds up to you thinking that that's a reasonable hypothesis, and the chat agrees with me. They're saying that you're word salading. I will give you one more chance. How is Trump trying to affect China with the war in Iran? Explain it to me as concisely and clearly as you are able.
Because of the fact that it impacts their oil, and then that is going to impact their manufacturing. It's going to impact many different variables within the country long term. And I think what he's trying to do is weaken their economy long term. Now, again, I'm just taking a guess at it.
How is that specific to China? Because it's happening. It's bad for economies the world over that Trump is. What Trump has done to the oil market through Iran is bad for the economies the world over. How is that specific to China?
Right. So going back on to what I said previously, as far as when this all started with Venezuela, and then just looking at it from a macro level, looking at Venezuela, how that was impacting China economically based off of their oil.
If you want to
and then
drag
also
Venezuela into it, I feel obligated as the host of the show to point out to everybody that it is very convenient that Trump waged a brief war of conquest against Venezuela, captured their leader on what I would say are trumped up charges regarding drugs, which I can't say on TikTok, and then he threatened the person who who took his seat, the vice president, with the U.S. military. He pointed a firearm at them, and the firearm was literally the U.S. military, and said that your oil is mine now. He robbed them of their oil using the U.S. military as his threat. And then he took that oil, and instead of using it to better the lives of Americans, he is selling it on the global market and taking the money from those sales and putting it in an offshore account in Qatar that the U.S. government has no control over. He's literally grifting the oil market, and then a couple months later conveniently started a war in Iran that increased the global oil prices greatly, such that his grift is now making more money. That's what I think about when you bring up Iran in a conversation, or when you bring up Venezuela in a conversation about the war in Iran. It's not the effect that the oil market is going to have on China, which again, what?
So I guess then I would have, based off of that metric, then I would have to concede, because what I'm trying to relay to you is apparently coming across, according to you, as more of a hypothetical, or a hypothesis, excuse me. So
I actually don't think it's a hypothetical. I think it's a guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's again, I mean, it's based off of observation. It's just I'll just go layman's and say personal opinion.
I mean, yeah, okay. You got anything else then? Because we don't really do opinions on this show. I mean, I do share opinions on the show. We can talk about opinions, but if your opinions are substantiated by like evidence in the world, that makes them more worth talking about. You just thinking that he's doing that is like, man, it wouldn't be crazy if you were right. We could go back and be like, wow, that guy dadbod on Oskar Quentin's live back in 2026 was right. But like, it's a Hail Mary guess.
Yeah, I agree with you. No, I mean that was pretty much it. I mean, I just heard the conversation previously with Christian, and some of the talking points that he was bringing up where I thought
thanks for coming on, but I kicked him because I just considered it a waste of time to spend that much time talking about the same things we talked about earlier in the episode, just to arrive at the conclusion that yes, it is just a hunch. It is just a guess. And he doesn't care about any of the important stuff, like the fact that people are dying, or that the global oil prices are bad for everybody, or that Trump stole Venezuelan oil and is using it to grift in a way that doesn't benefit the American people and is like obviously an abuse of his power. Like, none of that matters. My hunch about China matters. The fuck, dude? Like, come on. We're gonna talk to you. You mute, you lose. It's been a little while. You mute, you lose. I still don't use the mute button. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay, what are we talking about?
I want to talk about how you're wrong about everything with Iran.
Which part?
You're saying that the JCPOA was good. I mean, that was beyond the dumbest thing that I've ever seen written. The fact that you try to stand by it is just crazy to me.
Okay, what was wrong with it?
I mean, it allowed Iran to keep developing their ballistic missile program. It allowed Iran to have all assets that were unfrozen, which they then turned around and funded a lot of proxies, funded a lot of T activity all across that region.
I did answer this concern earlier in the show. Do you want me to restate my answer to this concern?
All right. And then also, not only that, it did not stop Iran from actually doing research on their nuclear program. All it did was put a cap on them enriching uranium.
Yes. So, and I will restate that one of the important components of any potential hypothetical nuclear agreement with Iran is that Iran has to agree to that deal. You recognize that that's like very important to whether or not it's a good deal, right?
Iran?
If we're going to make a hypothetical nuclear agreement with Iran, one of the most important, I would say the most important thing to assess whether or not that's a good deal is whether or not Iran will agree to the deal. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
How is that not important to whether or not a deal is a good one? Whether the other party will agree to it?
Good for who? Good for Iran or good for the USA and good for the world? Because if it's good for Iran, it's good for Iran.
I'm saying that any agreement that the other party refuses to agree to was a bad deal. It didn't work.
No. That's wrong. Under that premise, under your own logic, if I sat there and I sold my truck for $1, is that a good deal for me, or is that a good deal for the person buying my truck?
If I offered you $1 for your truck and you said no, it wasn't a good offer because you didn't agree to it.
Right,
bad
but
deal.
but you're the one buying the truck, so it would be a good deal for you. Like
if you agreed to it, but you didn't, so it wasn't. It would have been a good deal if it was agreed to, but you didn't, so it wasn't. So a hypothetical Iran deal that gets rid of all of those concerns that you just talked about would be a great deal if they agreed to it, but they wouldn't.
Is there ever such a thing as a bad deal, yes or no?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so then your statement is irrelevant. Rather, it was good for Iran does not mean it was a good deal.
But it's not a deal. Does
not mean it was a good deal for us.
Let's try this a different way. I would argue it's not a deal at all if they don't agree with it. Not a good one or a bad one. It just isn't a deal.
Okay, if they agreed to something that we had, that does not make it a good deal for us. It might be a good deal for them.
That doesn't address my concern, and I'm not convinced that you understand my concern.
I understand what you're saying. Oh, just because Iran agreed upon it, it makes it a good deal. That's not logical.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
That is literally what you said.
I did not say that because Iran.
Play it back.
I don't have a YouTube VOD to play back. I don't have that set up yet. But I'm not arguing that just because they agreed to it, that makes it a good deal. That's not how the logic.
That is literally what you just said.
No, I said that they have. Listen. I said that they have to agree to it in order for it to then be assessed as to whether or not it is a good deal. It is a prerequisite requirement for checking if it's a good deal. They have to agree to it for it to be a good or bad deal, because if they don't agree to it, it's not a deal at all. That's all I'm saying. Which is why we didn't get everything we wanted. I don't want them making ballistic missiles. I don't want them doing nuclear research. I don't want those things. We couldn't get those things in the deal. Bummer. That would have been a better deal if we could, but they wouldn't agree to it, so we can't. You understand that?
No. Because here's the thing: is with the deal, for example, why even make a deal if they're gonna be able to allow for all this other stuff that in turns makes
because the deal still prevented them from making nuclear weapons, which was a win.
Okay, and then what was the inspection time? So, like, if we wanted to inspect them, how long would it take for us to actually go over there and inspect them?
I don't know what the exact notice time, but I know that we were granted hundreds of visits to their facilities per year.
Okay. First off, you had to wait for a month, right? To sit there and to actually we want to inspect your stuff.
You're pivoting on to this idea.
I'm talking about the deal.
Listen,
what are you talking about?
Okay, you just asked me a question. You said, what am I talking about? Are you going to allow me to answer that question?
You're switching it up. I'm responding to exactly what you talk about.
You just asked me the question. What are you talking about? Are you going to allow me to answer that question?
Hurry up.
Explain. I'm not going to hurry up. I'm going to take my time so that you and the audience understand me. And also, telling me to hurry up at talking is a fucking hilarious thing to do, because I talk faster than I don't think there's a debate host on TikTok that talks faster than me. So we can cut it with that bullshit.
Okay, who cares if you talk fast?
Am I going to answer your question or not? The audience cares. It helps with the information density of the show. Okay, my goodness, did I lose my fucking train of thought? I did. What was I talking about? I don't even remember.
All right, then let me talk.
Yeah, try again. Whatever.
So here's the issues with these deals is the fact that not only did it unfreeze assets, they were continuing to do research and development in their nuclear program into these centrifugages, and they were able to get the know-how to how to
I remembered.
enhance.
I'm going to interrupt because I remembered what I was saying. I want to talk about this thing that happens on the show a lot, and it just happened a second ago, which is that I accused you of pivoting because you were moving away from this idea about whether or not it was a good or bad deal to the question of whether or not they were following the deal. The reason I call that a pivot is because they are different claims. Is the deal good versus were they following the deal? That is a pivot away from a topic that we weren't done on, even though both of them sit under the umbrella of the Iran nuclear deal. Just because they both involve Iran doesn't make it not a pivot. We could start talking about agriculture in Iran.
I didn't
that
pivot,
would be a pivot.
You pivoted and I responded to it because you were saying...
Who brought up the question, the concern of whether or not they were following the deal as opposed to whether or not it was a good deal? Who did that?
You were the one that brought up the fact that they weren't allowed to they were allowed to develop their missiles and stuff, but they weren't allowed to enrich uranium. Weapons-grade uranium. And
that was you.
No, that was
at the beginning.
Was you. Why would I say that? No, you were the one that brought up the fact that it prevented them from getting weapons-grade uranium. And I said, "Oh, really? How many of these how often were they able to inspect?" And then you started, and now you're accusing me of pivoting when it was you. You're just being dishonest right now.
Because
you're the one that brought that up.
But what you were arguing is not that it wasn't a good deal because they weren't following it. You were arguing that it wasn't a good deal because it allows them to make ballistic missiles and do other nuclear research. And I was responding to that when you moved on to the concern about whether or not they were actually following the deal. And I recognize that these are two different claims that are both important, but have completely different evidence.
You have no logic, and you can't even follow the argument. I'm dipping out, dude, because there's no point even talking to you.
If you leave, you lose. If you leave, you lose.
Dude,
if you leave, you lose. I haven't muted you. You mute, you lose. If you leave, you lose.
I'm not losing.
Are you going to run?
It was a horrible deal. So
are you going to run?
Let me
or are you going to
ask
stay and keep
quick,
talking?
Oscar. Let me ask you this real quick, Oscar. So we basically essentially just paid off a bunch of the world's sponsor of tea, right? And basically like, hey, we'll give you everything that you've ever wanted. Just do not, please, with cherries on top, do not make a nuclear program that could develop weapons grade uranium. And they're like, okay. And they developed all the other stuff, had all the other funding while they were still doing research and development on their nuclear program. But they
I already answered to all of this. Like, this is how
I'm getting to.
Did somebody hit your reset button? This is how the call started.
Okay, I mean, you haven't disputed any of that. I mean, I don't see how this is anything good. No, you haven't. You just said, okay, all that was true, but they didn't develop nuclear weapons. So, like,
yeah, they weren't developing nuclear weapons during the JCPOA.
Everything they needed to develop a nuclear weapon, but they just didn't do it.
There was one more thing that they needed, which was for Trump to throw out the JCPOA, and he handed them that on a silver platter in his first term. Why did he do that?
If they never had the JCPOA, the JCPOA, they wouldn't be in a position to even have one. Because guess what? They would have still needed years and years of development. But under the JCPOA, they had all the funding they needed. Not only that, but they had some cash from Obama, straight up American hard money, delivered to them in a briefcase from a plane, right? That is right there ridiculous.
So if I wanted to let's use your truck analogy. If I was going to buy your truck.
Hey, have a good night, man. There's no talking.
If you leave, you lose. If you leave, you lose. He left. Did he lose? That guy, I think that guy calls with a frequency that suggests he's forgotten how it goes when he calls me. W's in the chat for Scout, because she was being my emotional support in that conversation, and Scout's being very, very cute. Oh my goodness, Scout! Want to hop up? Come here. Come on. Everybody wants to see you. You're so cute. W's in the chat for Scout. All right, we're going to talk to... No, I'm going to do an ad read. Go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms. Everything's monetized, so I don't need help anywhere. Thanks, everybody, for that. Like, that's a huge announcement. Like, all 4 of the platforms are monetized for me. Facebook technically isn't doing ad revenue yet because I have to wait for, like, a 30-day timer to expire, and that's going to be a couple weeks. But, like... yeah, it's incredible that the show is working so well. So if you want to support directly, you can donate to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. But we're going to talk to Damn It Ashley. We'll see if I end up saying Damn It Ashley at the end of the call. Maybe the beginning of the call. We'll see. How old are you? Hello? Ashley. Damn it, Ashley, are you there? Hello? Sorry for the jokes. I'm not trying to, like, clown on you right away. I actually want to talk to you. Hello? You're the only caller in the queue, so I'm just going to wait to see if you connect. Ashley, wake up. I think she fell asleep because the line's hot and I hear a little bit of white noise. She's like away from keyboard. So she's just, oh, and there she goes. She's gone. That's it. That's all, folks. I defeated all of the, oh wait, no, I was about to say I defeated them all, but we have a username, Ungerrymander America. I'm guessing he's pretty happy about the Voting Rights Act being weakened. Hi. How old are you?
I'm 33.
You support Trump?
I do not, but I was... Is that not a...
Yeah, I'm looking for opposition until maybe the end of the stream. If you want to call back closer to 40 minutes from now, you can maybe have a quick chat. But I try to keep it to opposition during the show.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I was going to talk about proportional representation, and that's like a solution out of this doom loop of the gerrymandering mess we're in. But that's cool.
yeah, I'm going to let you go, but I would be interested. Feel free to call back in like 30 minutes so we could have a little chat about that like right at the end, like with like 10 minutes left or something, because I don't think I'm going to go past. I would normally go past noon here in Central Standard Time Zone if I had a friendly, but just today I work in the evening, so I have to end pretty sharply at 12 so I can get back to editing the stream. Or maybe I should have left him up because I don't have a caller. I had a caller while I told him to leave, and then Jake left. So Jake, come back. I want to talk to you. Maybe Jake left because he's also a friendly. How's everybody doing in the chat? Let's talk to the chat. Today's been an interesting. It's kind of fun when we have a show where it's like all of these callers trying to make the same argument, and each one picks up where the previous one left off, and it's just all the same things. Jake says he's friendly, so I hear you. Is it Jake from State Farm? Elvis Trump says hello. How you doing, Elvis? You're here a little earlier than usual. Elvis is a regular caller who or a regular viewer that I know he's busy in the mornings or something because he only shows up towards the end of the stream. So happy to see him here. You've already missed quite the show. It's been a pretty crazy day. Andy says that he's new here, but good stuff so far. Thank you. I try to make the show good. Trix says, I'm convinced none of these people on the right even know why we drafted the JCPOA. Yeah, they just, I mean, like hearing them try to talk about it is just fascinating because I just, how is it that so many people call in and tell me that I ran violating the terms of the JCPOA after Trump terminated the JCPOA is evidence that they were violating it? That just seems bizarre. Jonathan, please hit the request button on your screen. It's the pink and blue head just to the right of the comment section down here somewhere. Click on that and we can have a conversation because you say Trump 2028 and I'd love to talk to somebody who spends their time spamming that in people's debate live chats. Okay, he's just joking. Well, watch it because the mods will like mute you for the all caps. But that's a pretty low level all caps violation. Let the Wookieean says mic down. Elaborate. Am I having a sound problem? He says never mind. Okay, what else is going on? Do people not understand what a deal is? Clearly they don't. I mean, the fact that caller couldn't even understand the idea that they need to agree to the deal for it to be a deal, like that's just Oskar for 2028. I'm not old enough. We'll see about that someday. I've had that thought. People keep asking me if I'd ever get into politics now that I'm doing this, and I always thought like definitely not because I'm too honest. Like I'm not capable of like doing the politician thing of like always. I'm not always serious. I'm pretty serious on this show most of the time. I clown on the guests. I run comedy shows in Minneapolis where you can catch me saying some pretty off-color jokes on stage when I'm not in front of a TikTok filter. I'm a goofball. I get up to really silly nonsense, and I think I'm unelectable for a lot of reasons, and I think that what I am good at would be damaged by me trying to be a politician, which is why Tavis Kama is saying don't do it, Oskar. But there's almost part of me that thinks that if I'm successful at changing the way public discourse works in this country in the way that I'm trying to be by running this show, if I succeed at that goal, American politics could become a place where somebody like me is electable. Because if Trump is electable, if he can get away with all the horrible things that he's done, I can probably get away with the fact that I'm a zany artist that has like tons of content out there about me being like silly and weird and having like maybe politically unpopular opinions. I say pretty controversial opinions. I'm open and transparent on the show. Like it's not an act up here of any kind. I just think that I don't fit very well into the current bipartisan system. So I feel like if I were to become a politician, I'd have to run it as an independent. And that would have to be in a world where there's ranked choice voting at like every... I'm a democratic socialist, to clarify for the chat, like in terms of where I actually sit on the spectrum. But I think that we need ranked choice voting to allow the type of candidate I would have to be for me to want there to be intellectual honesty around my campaign for whatever level of government I'm running. I think we need ranked choice voting for those types of politicians to make it. But I also don't know what the path would look like, because like if I become a successful political commentator, I become well known like on an international or on a national scale. If I get like millions of followers, if I end up at like Dean Withers level, I could see myself running for mayor of Minneapolis. I could see myself running for governor of Minnesota. I don't think I'd want to be a senator. I think I'd want to stay in the executive branch. I'd want to be the mayor and then the governor and then the president. I wonder about that sometimes. I think about that when I think about the course of what's happening to me, because what's happening to me right now is insane. The growth of this project, I'm kind of like just yapping because I don't have a caller right now, and that's going to tank the viewership, but that's okay. I just think, like, on gerrymander, if you want to come up and talk about it, we can. I think I might call the stream earlier today because it was really, really dense with good calls, and I try not to have too much dead air in the YouTube VODs. So please hop up. But yeah, I'm not at all interested. I'm 30. I'm like not young, so I could run for some offices like sooner rather than later in the course of my life. But the political structure of everything needs to change pretty dramatically. But Oskar for mayor of Minneapolis? Maybe. That'd be pretty fun. I think I'd be a popular mayor. I'm pretty well liked in general here. Like, with what I'm doing, I'm becoming locally famous, which is very exciting. And yeah, as a New Yorker, I'm pretty excited about what Mamdani is doing, and I would love to have a mayor more like Mamdani here than Fry. And I could see myself being that mayor, but not for 5 or 10 years. Ungerrymander America, what's up?
Hey man, I love your show. I found you like last night. I love. I'm a philosophy major. That was my background back in college, and you're doing the philosophy thing where you're actually asking the insightful questions, like getting to the core of what is going on with their argument.
Did you catch me using the Socratic method?
Oh, indeed.
Oh yeah, no, I actually don't announce that because it makes the Phil bros very scared. I don't think you're a Phil bro. I think you actually understand philosophy.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I'm on to talk about proportional.
I already like you. I'm going to give you a follow. So sorry for interrupting. You can say.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you can say what you're about to say again.
Yeah, so the gerrymandering thing is all craziness, right? And it's this like doom loop, right? And the solution is not just ranked choice voting, but it's proportional ranked choice voting.
Ooh, explain that for me in the audience. Proportional ranked choice voting.
Yes. So in regular ranked choice voting, you get one winner. You need 50% of the vote, and it's ranked choice up to until someone gets 50% of the vote. Mm-hmm. In proportional ranked choice voting, you have
and I will just for the sake of educating the audience, I'll interject that just for anybody who doesn't know about how ranked choice voting works, is that if somebody gets more than 50% of the vote, it works like a normal election and they win. But if nobody gets 50% of the vote, if you have two candidates that have 40% of the vote, and then there's 20% distributed among other candidates, those candidates were allowed to put a second choice, and their second choice vote then goes to potentially one of those candidates that got 40%, and you do that over and over again. You go down the list, first, second, third choice, whatever people put, until somebody has more than 50%. And that means you can put an independent as your first vote, and then a Democrat or a Republican as your second vote, and you're not throwing your vote away, but it still gives the independent a chance to grow in popularity election cycle over election cycle. How did I do on explaining that quickly? Am I good?
That was great. That was great. Exactly. And so to add to that explanation, the multi-member district piece of it, now, instead of electing one person at a time, we're electing 4 people at a time. And the way this math works is instead of 50% being the threshold for victory, it now becomes 20%. And so you only need 20% of the vote to win. What this means is 2 things. One is that 80% of voters will have elected a representative that they voted for, either in their first or second or third choice, because you get 4 winners, each of them getting 20% of the vote. So the top 4 vote getters. So the second thing that happens is that it makes alternative parties inevitable, because you only need 20% of the vote. So there's the hypothetical with this proportional, with this multi-member districts is in a 50-50 split district, you just need half of the people that vote for each of the major parties to vote for an alternative party, which we saw with Mamdani. I live in Seattle, and so we saw that with Katie Wilson in Seattle. She's a Democratic Socialist as well. And it makes it impossible to gerrymander the minority party out of existence, because there's very few places across the country that have less than 20% Republicans or 20% Democrats. No, so someone in the chat said about governors. No, this is only for the legislative branch. For the executive branch,
yeah, I was going to ask the positions for which that you're proposing this, because I do think that when it comes to things like Senate seats and stuff, like the current system also doesn't make sense for a bunch of those reasons. So I'd be interested in looking at the math of this, because the thing that makes for me, just being honest, as I listen to you pitch this to me, it's the reason ranked choice is so obviously good is you can kind of run the simulations on how elections would have gone if we used ranked choice, and it's better. It makes more of the voters happy with the outcome, which is the goal of democracy. So this 20% cutoff, that when I hear that number would be the one that's respected, I would need to look at the math of why that number was selected, how exactly it works out, if that number is more or less, if it's, because you're talking about 4 candidates, and I don't know exactly where that number comes from.
Yeah, so the way that the math works, it's the number of candidates, so it's 1 divided by the number of candidates plus 1, number of So
one divided by the number of candidates plus one.
Number of elected seats.
Okay. So the reason it's 20% is because there's 4 elected seats. So you would have, each of them needs to get 20%, and then there's 20% left over for the rest of the vote.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so
I will admit that's too complicated for me to sit here and come up with my opinion on whether or not I think it would be good or bad. I'd need to do some of the math on paper and look at how it affects actual districts, which I'm sure you've done based on the way that you're talking about this. It sounds like you've done your homework. You should message me and I should look at this privately, because if it's something I'm into, I'd be happy to promote it as one of my in Oscar's ideal world, we'd be doing this, which I already do with ranked choice.
Dude, I will send you my book. So I literally wrote the book. In the book, I ungerrymandered the entire country. I redrew the maps for every single state and drew 3 to 5 member districts for every single state.
You know what? I'm not lying to you. I'd read the book. I'm interested. I'm going to let you go because I have one more opposition caller, and I'm going to get one more in for the day. But I gave you a follow. Shoot me a message, and we'll talk about it because that's an interesting idea. And for the chat, ranked choice voting is working. It's how New York got Mamdani. It's unfortunately how Minneapolis got Fry again. But I was able to vote in a way that I was happier with because I was able to vote for a more popular second candidate and then add my third after that. Anyway, I like ranked choice voting, even though I lost. I didn't vote for Fry for mayor again. Anyway, I'm just yapping. We're gonna talk to John Stone, and I'm gonna ask everybody because I already kind of canceled the show for the day, but we're bringing it back so everybody get double tapping away on the screen because my mods have informed me that John Stone should be an entertaining call. John Stone, how old are you?
40.
40. You support Trump?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Well, this is all my personal opinion. I have resentment for the political left. The left, the far left, is destroying Western civilization. They're subverting it. It has to do with postmodernism and the Frankfurt School.
Oh my God, how did it take me 4 months to catch a postmodernist on the stream? All right, explain to my audience what postmodernism is.
Postmodernism, I'm not a postmodernist. I'm saying this is the problem with the left.
You think that we're postmodernists?
Yeah, postmodernism is a philosophical ideology that came out of France in the 1970s. Some of the main people in postmodernism would be like Foucault and Derrida. And Derrida, this is why the left is always talking about deconstruction. So it believes that there is no objective reality, that there is no absolute truth, that there are infinite interpretations, and power is the most important concept. But Foucault was a major architect of queer theory, which is one of the...
So just to be clear, you are accusing me of having a political and philosophical standpoint that doesn't respect the facts of reality?
Well, no, I'm just saying, I don't know about you specifically, but I'm just saying part of postmodernism is the rejection of meta-narratives.
The rejection of meta-narratives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, like critic. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do you feel that?
You know who Foucault is?
Yeah. But I just want to understand for my audience and for me what exactly it is you think about liberals that makes them postmodernists.
I think that I'm not really talking about liberals so much as I'm talking about this woke BS.
Okay. That's very whack-a-mole, but if we're going to talk about, let's just say, Democrats in America, elected Democrats, the people who are in the House, the people who want to run for president on a blue ticket next time, those people. If we're talking about those people, do you think that what you're saying applies to those people?
Well, look, I was actually a Democrat. I'm trying to just make sure I understand your question correctly. I'm not talking about liberals. I'm not talking about the Democratic Party 20 years ago was not like this. I actually...
Okay, my question is simply, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about this belief of the far left that basically the view is that they believe that Western civilization is an authoritarian patriarchy that engineered whiteness out of G-side colonialism, slavery, and imperialism.
I think that's a simplification, but I think the patriarchy is real, and we did some of those bad things that you just described, and that has influenced us living in a circumstance right now that's not good for minorities and women. But I don't think that that's like I don't think that reasonable people on the left are saying that there is like some secret patriarchy with like jackets where they like plan making women not have good rights and stuff. Like I don't think it's like some Illuminati nonsense. I just think that undue male control in politics and social matters has been a problem that we've been working on for the course of human history.
Well, if you want to see an authoritarian patriarchy, I would take a look at Iran, for example.
Yeah, real bad. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is what I find so fascinating about the political left is that they're so worried about Islamophobia, but if people on the left tried to go over to Iran and organize a gay pride parade, things would not go well.
I consider the human rights abuses that happen in Iran to be really, really bad. And just for your knowledge, you're talking to an atheist who's highly critical of religion, including Islam. I am also critical of Christianity for exactly the same reasons, even though we're a little, further along in the process of like correcting some of those issues, because Christianity is an older religion than Islam. Islam is like a newer chapter of the Abrahamic religions, and but if you actually read the texts that the Islamists follow, and that the Muslims follow, and that the Christians follow, and the more devout evangelical Christians, and even the more like regular NIV Christians of today, like if you actually look at the text, there's horrible, terrible, awful, unwoke stuff in all of it. And as we see the world over, countries have different levels of progress in terms of getting away from those hateful ideas. Iran is an example of a place where a lot of those hateful ideologies has not been put to bed, and I'm highly critical of that fact. So what is it you're arguing to me?
I'm just trying to articulate that it's very. It's not so. I could say hypocritical, but it's more hierarchical. The left has this view of it's an anti-whiteness view that dominates everything. This is why the view is that.
All right, I'm having a hard time pinning you down to a claim, so I just want to be straightforward and just pick on one thing. You said that the left has a view that is anti-white. I'd like for you to argue that.
Right. I'll give you an example. Were you for the lockdowns during C-19?
Yes.
Okay. And I would imagine you were also for the BLM protests, weren't you?
Yes.
Okay, that's contradictory there, buddy. Okay?
But see, explain to me how.
Well, it's more hierarchical.
Okay.
There is literally...
Is your argument that because the BLM protests, the George Floyd riots in 2020 happened during lockdown? Is that going to be your argument?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's not just hypocritical; it's more hierarchical.
Okay.
Because
let me ask you a question. Okay, if somebody believes in lockdown, so they're locked down in their house and they're not going outside. If their house catches on fire and there's an emergency and they have to run outside, does that make them a hypocrite?
No, but see, this is a false comparison. This is a false equivalency.
Well, I didn't say it was an equivalency. All I'm pointing out is that you can have an external reason for violating one thing that you believe in without being a hypocrite. Are you following that far?
This is the whole point. This is why I said it's hierarchical, even more than hypocritical. That literally nothing in the world is more important than fighting racial injustice, and you just put it in terms of a life and D situation. You just framed it that way. There was 1 week. There was 1 week in the spring of 2020 where, yes, I did think that fighting racial injustice was going outside and doing that was more important than staying inside to prevent the spread of COVID. There were like 5 days where I felt that was the case. Correct. What's your point? Well, this is one of the reasons why I have such resentment for the left, that in 2020 and 2021, it wasn't just 5 days, okay? The left was imposing these totalitarian lockdowns, all right? But in the summer of 2020, not for just 5 days, for about 6 months, the left flips. They do a 180 and they encourage protesting and they allow chaos, riots, and looting, okay?
I don't think that there was very much chaos, riots, or looting outside of the week that followed the death of George Floyd, and you'd need to provide evidence of that. There was protesting, and people are capable of protesting while social distancing, just so you're aware.
Well, certainly looting is an indoor activity, isn't it?
Looting is a what?
Indoor activity.
No, I think you have to go outside to a place that you want to loot.
Okay, but stores that are looted are indoors.
Is that really? Are you so cornered already in this conversation that you're pointing out the technicality that for somebody to steal a TV... For somebody to steal a TV from a TV store, they do need to be inside the TV store. What happens after they take the TV? What happens after they take the TV?
Well, they would go outside.
Okay, so shut your mouth and get back on track. Like, seriously, come on. Be a big boy about the conversation.
You're getting agitated because you know you're losing. I'll give you. Yeah. Okay. So look, man. You can compare. For you to compare, protesting in the summer of 2020 for wanting shelter in place, but saying, well, if somebody's house is on fire, it's fucking ridiculous. And I think you know it, and that's why you're getting upset.
Well, I used a very extreme example to demonstrate that there are ways to go, like you can violate a stay-at-home order in ways that are internally morally consistent. I wasn't saying that a fire is the same thing as what happened with George Floyd. I was just pointing out, I was opening the door to us seeing that there are reasons why a person could violate that stay-at-home order and still believe in it. And then we could move on. Once you accept that, then we can move on to talk about George Floyd. You're accusing me of declaring the two equivalent, which I don't need to do for my argument to work.
No, I'm just this is the whole point, is that in the deranged mind of the left, fighting racial injustice was literally more important than anything, even the shelter-in-place orders that the left was
saying that it's more important than anything is hyperbolic and not what anybody is saying. I mean, some people are probably saying that. I'm definitely not saying that. So again, and you're just calling me deranged, and I'm just gonna, if you're gonna call me scared because I'm losing this conversation, I'm just gonna clap it back at you and say that you calling me deranged is, based on my experience running this show, an indication that you're losing the argument, even if we don't know what we're talking about, which I do know what we're talking about, and you are losing the argument.
I don't think so. But
yeah, I know
okay.
you know. That's okay. Yep.
Well,
we can agree to disagree on that. But again, I don't think it was a false equivalency. I didn't argue that they were equal. I just showed that there are counterexamples to following a stay-at-home order that don't mean that a person doesn't believe in the stay-at-home order.
Well, it's just the point is that fighting racial injustice was more important than the lockdowns that the left was forcing.
For that week, I agree with that. That's what I said. Mm-hmm.
For 1 week is your position.
For about a week, until they charged Chauvin with I forget exactly what the nature of the charge was because it's been years, but we were unhappy about the nature of the charges. We want them to be escalated. So most of the unrest stopped in Minneapolis when the DA's office announced that the charges would be escalated to the charges that the public were demanding.
Look, man, I mean, if you want to talk about the George Floyd incident itself, we can. Okay.
I don't really want to. I'm just pointing out that we had a specific goal here in Minneapolis, which was to get Derek Chauvin charged with second-degree murder. And I think that's what we were looking for. And when he was charged with second-degree murder, that's when the riots stopped.
Okay. Look, I won't get into George Floyd other than to say that the guy was fighting with police for approximately 30 minutes prior. He was on very powerful substances. All right, and he had been in and out of prison for a lot of his life. Okay, so
if a person has gone to prison before, does that give an officer greater reason to unalive them?
No.
Then why'd you bring that up?
Because I'm just saying that there's circumstances that make it unclear.
Does it or doesn't? The circumstances make it unfair to attack who? Chauvin for what he did?
No, I'm just saying that that the cause of George Floyd being unalived is actually questionable in my mind.
My buddy Derek, who Dr. Dankenstein 42069 is working on a challenge where people like you can come and have a person who weighs the same amount as Derek Chauvin kneel on their neck for 905 seconds, or 9 minutes and 5 seconds. Would you participate in that challenge?
Yeah, sure, man. I mean, I've done.
If you ever visit Minneapolis, hit me up. We'll film it.
Well, look. Here's the point. I'm certainly not celebrating what happened. Unlike a lot of people on the left who were celebrating CK. I don't know if you're one of them.
Celebrating who?
CK, Charlie.
Oh, Charlie Kirk was celebrating his death? No, I don't celebrate political violence. Political violence is bad.
Well, that's good, but a lot of people on the left, I've talked to a lot of them that do celebrate it. Do you condemn them?
Yeah, sure.
You condemn them, okay. Well, look, all right. So, look, I mean, I won't. The summer of 2020 is 1.0. Gaza is 2.0. Third world immigration is 3.0, and ICE protests are 4.0. It's all the same thing. It's the villainization of whiteness. That is the opiate of the left.
I don't know. I feel like you just listed 4 more things because I had so many good points on the one thing that we were on that you just decided to be like, never mind that. I'm going to bring up 4 other things. He's not going to be able to make as many concise arguments about these handful of things if I bring them all up quickly. And I'm just going to declare that the left is doing it as an anti-white thing.
No, I didn't think you wanted to talk about George Floyd. That's why I pivoted off of it.
You questioned why he died, and I said that if you I asked you if you wanted to participate in Dr. Dankenstein 42069's challenge to have a person who weighs the same as much as Derek Chauvin kneel on your neck for the same amount of time it took to kill George Floyd. You said that you would do it. I found that very interesting.
You want to stay on George Floyd?
I want to stay on something, and I don't know what we're talking about at this point in the conversation.
Okay, well here, why don't I try this one? I imagine you're pro-Palestinian, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pro, not genociding the Palestinians. The Palestinian people themselves hold some beliefs that I don't support. Nobody over there, passes Oscar's morality check, but we shouldn't be genociding civilians. If that's where you're going. I'm kind of trying to predict where you're going, that you're going to bring up something about the Palestinians I don't like, and yeah, they worship a religion I don't like, but that's not really as important as the genocide.
Well, I don't think it's a genocide because the people of Gaza elected H Group in October of, in 2006, and at the time, the charter of H Group was overtly G side toward Israel.
If you lived in Palestine, do you think that the last 3 years of your life would have been good? Do you think that you would be okay with what's happening?
No, it's terrible, but it's the fault of the Palestinian society that H Group started the war and they refused to surrender.
So all those families that have had to mourn their family members and been displaced from their homes by bombs falling from the sky, it's those people's fault?
Their society's fault.
Okay, so I'm glad that you recognize that the fault of a society is different than the fault of the people. And that's actually one of the reasons I'm so upset at Trump for going to war with Iran, because the government in Iran is bad, but we're bombing people who didn't do anything wrong. We're bombing civilians. So do you think that civilians are a legitimate military target?
No. I mean, if there's military infrastructure or if there's
there are casualties in warfare. That's not what I'm asking. Are they a legitimate primary target?
Civilians, no.
Okay, then it's if you're going to be consistent in that belief, then you should be upset about what's happening to Palestine.
Well, no, and here's why. Okay, I believe that the way the U.S. ended WW2 in Hiroshima and Nagasaki was the right decision. Do you disagree with me?
That's it's one of the greatest dilemmas in history. I don't know, actually.
Right.
More because the historians are pretty sure that the human cost of not nuking Japan would have been greater, but it would have been soldiers instead of civilians, which makes it difficult. I think that maybe more even if it was twice as many soldiers versus half as many civilians, I genuinely don't have a great position on that. I'm deeply conflicted about it, and it's not relevant to current conversations about nuclear armament because there was no mutually assured destruction. Most of the world didn't even know that nukes existed. We were the only ones who had them at the time, so it's kind of a one-off case that's very, very difficult to discuss ethically. But yeah, I see the arguments for both sides on that one. Very, very difficult. We did end the war. The number of humans lost because we dropped the nukes on Japan is fewer than if we hadn't. That's what most historians think. I'm inclined to believe them, but I'm still very conflicted about the fact that it was civilians instead of soldiers, for the reason I just brought up, because I don't think that they should be a legitimate military target.
The alternative would have been a full-scale invasion. It would have resulted in the unaliving of about 300,000 to 400,000 Allied soldiers. Millions of Japanese would have been unalived, and there would have been Soviets in Japan, which we would have had another North Korea.
Those numbers are inflated. No. I can hear that your tone changed into your rehearsing a monologue thing. Those numbers are the biggest numbers that you could find on Google. That's not an average of what the historians think. The numbers are almost an order of magnitude smaller if you actually ask historians those questions. So again, that is the argument that it would have been so bad to do a final ground invasion of Japan because Japan was refusing to surrender that it would have cost more. But those numbers are hyperbolic; they're too big.
What do you think the numbers are?
From what I've heard, I know something round about 100 or 200,000 people died in the nuclear attacks, and it would have been more than that, like 300,000 or 400,000. Off the top of my head, having not studied this in years, something like that. The idea that millions of Japanese civilians would die, I know that to be nonsense.
It's not nonsense. They were going to fight until the last man, woman, and child. That's you got to understand something about Japanese.
You can't wait.
Okay?
That is disproven by the fact that they did surrender when we nuked them.
It took them 9 days and 2 nukes.
Did it take millions of civilians dying or 100,000?
Well, that's because they surrendered. I'm just telling you, if they wouldn't have surrendered.
And you're saying that if they wouldn't have surrendered, it would have been millions, and you're arguing that there's no way they would have surrendered, so it would have been millions, even though it wasn't millions, and they did surrender.
If there was a ground invasion, yeah. That's the potential.
There wasn't, potentially. So again, there's question marks here. Is it the maximum number of people, the biggest the number could have been, would have been the entire population of Japan if we just literally did a ground invasion and murdered every single person there. You could hypothesize that was what was going to happen, even though it's not a historically reasonable assessment of how the other path would have gone. The reasonable numbers are smaller than that.
Well, the reason I compare it to
you came prepared, and I just with background knowledge about World War II, because I don't spend much time reading up about World War II these days. I know you're wrong just from knowing history, from learning history in college.
Well, the reason I compare it to Gaza is because, again, it's when societies start wars and refuse to surrender, that's their fucking problem. So that's their moral failure.
But again, that gets us back to the question of whether it's the government's fault or the people who live in the country, which I feel like you're stalling until we forget about that consideration so you can say something like that again. But every time you say something like that, I'm just going to catch it and say, and whose fault is that? The government or the people we bombed?
It's the government.
Okay. So why is it okay to bomb the people about that?
Because the government is a representative of the people. That's why.
Okay.
That you can't separate out a society from it's not, that's not how this works. It's when societies go to war that this civilians are going to be harmed. It's a tragedy of war.
Right. And that's why even earlier in the conversation, I made sure that we established the difference between civilians as casualties of legitimate military action or as primary targets of military actions, which the rest of the world considers a war crime. So again, we've already covered that, and you have amnesia about it because you are a goldfish. You're one of my goldfish callers. It was more than 3 minutes ago, so you forgot that we already covered that point.
No, I was just reiterating why. Look, the reason that the left is so pro-Palestinian is because of this view of they believe Israelis are white European colonizers who are oppressing the Palestinians who are people of color, and this is the narrative. Everything is seen through the lens of this oppressor versus oppressed settler colonialism of the black experience in the U.S. Right? That people of color are good and white people are bad.
You haven't demonstrated demonstrated that people on the left think that white people are bad. If that's your primary argument, we're talking about Japan and Gaza and Iran and what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Okay, you know who James Lindsay is?
I do not.
Okay, James Lindsay, very smart man, PhD mathematician. Okay, he did these things. He did these hoax papers, right? It's called grievance studies, something like that. He submitted. College is a big part of your problem. Okay.
Oh yeah.
On the left, yeah, no, it really is. This is postmodernism. This is the Frankfurt School. This is what's taken over. This is why
I don't know, dude. In college, I learned economics and stuff, and math and history and writing. Took a lot of writing classes.
I mean, I'm assuming you know who Herbert Marcuse is, don't you?
I don't.
Okay, Frankfurt School. He wrote Repressive Tolerance in 1965. All right, he also wrote Eros and Civilization. This is where settler colonialism, critical theory, oppressor versus oppressed. This is where all this comes from.
Yeah.
This is why you believe this nonsense that you do.
What is the nonsense that I believe?
I already explained it to you.
Clarify for the audience what the nonsense that I believe is. What is it I believe that's so nonsensical?
That Western civilization is an authoritarian patriarchy that is dominated by whiteness and oppressed the entire world and is responsible for all the world's problems.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe that?
No, that's a hyperbolic description of some of the things that I believe, but
you believe some of it.
Well, I believe that the patriarchy and white people are responsible for some of the world's problems, but not all of the world's problems. That'd be a very silly thing to believe.
Okay, which problems are it? Which specify for me? Clarify.
I'll give an example. I would say the misbehavior of police officers in America is the product of the patriarchy and white people having power in this country for too long. Pretty directly. The institutional racism and misogyny of police officers and law enforcement generally That's an example where the history of white people having control of this country and men having control of this country has very badly influenced the state of affairs for people who are not men or not white people. That's one example.
Okay, the reason we have a first world American empire is because of the white patriarchy, man. And you all on the left are trying to destroy it. If you think it's so much better...
Yes, they very successfully used African slaves to build a very successful country. Good job, racist white people from the past. What's your point?
Okay, there's about 25 million slaves in the world today, and they're primarily located in India, China, and Africa. I never hear the left talk about it. They don't care. It's just slavery that ended in the U.S.
I talk about it. I talk about the Uyghurs in China. I talk about the numerous countries that are experiencing political strife and civil wars and gang rule in certain countries in Africa, particularly Western Africa is really struggling with that type of stuff. I do talk about that stuff sometimes. We mostly focus on domestic issues on this show because I'm concerned about Trump and DHS and stuff like that. Like, this is an American political conversation show, but I am educated on those matters, and I do express my concern about them when they come up.
Yeah, so
I asked you, you asked me for an example, and I provided the police, and then you started talking about all this other stuff. So, like, are you going to answer my concern about the police? Do you think it's fair to say that the institutionalized problems in policing in America are the result of white rule?
I think we need to have police. Do you believe in abolishing the police?
I don't. I think it's very important in a functioning society to have a police force.
Okay, so you were in agreement that we need some type of law and order.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you think it's systematic racism that the reason that black people are half the prison population approximately? Is that true?
I think it's an enormous contributing factor.
Okay.
There's also socioeconomic issues that plague African Americans on the supply side of the prisoners. The police are unfair to the African Americans, and the African Americans have socioeconomic conditions that are bad for the same reasons, for the same institutionalized problems that exist in society, not in the police department. And it is because of those socioeconomic differences that they are more likely to potentially end up in prison for getting involved in gang violence or robbing a convenience store when they're 19 years old or something like that. So there's that's a separate issue, but it is also very related to the fact that these are people whose grandparents or great-great-grandparents were slaves, and that they still live in the same neighborhoods. And because of the lack of social mobility in this country, even generations later, they're still experiencing the fact that their grandparents, their first free ancestors after 1865, were people who were at the bottom of the socioeconomic totem pole. It's taken this long. We're 5 or 6 generations removed, and there's so little social mobility that black people in America today are still suffering because of that. And I'm aware of that because I understand the socioeconomics of this country. And you're bringing that up as an external example to why black people, like, I'm going to guess that you probably think those black people deserve to be in prison for those reasons and that the socioeconomic background doesn't matter. But again, it's kind of just proving me right. It's just that the problem exists on both sides, from the police and from the actual living conditions of minorities in America.
I don't think it's about systematic racism as much as it is about there's just average differences in things among races, like IQ, for example.
There it is. Ding, ding, ding. None of this matters because you're racist. Tell me about the differences. Average differences?
Yeah.
Well, if we're gonna generalize to the phrase average differences, yes, because for example, African Americans on average have darker skin than people who are not African Americans. So there's an example of an average difference. It's a pretty, not very interesting thing to point out. Do you have an example?
Here, I'll give you some average differences. The average IQ in Haiti is approximately 70.
And do we need to? Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. You're going to reference the IQ in Haiti, and IQ is a measure of how intelligent a person is based on their upbringing. And if a person has a very different upbringing than somebody else, IQ scores are going to be inapplicable between them. So average between groups, the outliers get smoothed out, and you can judge maybe one state against another state or one locality against another. But when you have a country that has a different history, a different education system, a different culture, perhaps a different language because they speak Haitian Creole. How good are IQ tests in Haitian Creole? Do we have a standard for how high we'd expect a person to test on a test that has been translated to Haitian Creole? I doubt it. There's all these confounding factors that the people who actually use IQ studies in their day-to-day work as psychologists or developmental psychologists or doctors or neuroscientists or whatever the sorts of things they're studying consider because they know how to look at data in a way that isn't racist. But the only thing that you can see is that Haitians are black.
The average IQ of American black people is 85. For East
Source.
Asians, it's about 105.
Did you listen to a word I just said, or were you just sitting there on deck with your racist, unsubstantiated claim?
Well, see, you say it's racist, but it's just true.
Source.
So maybe you believe in evolution, don't you?
I do.
Source?
I'm highly educated on evolutionary biology.
Okay. All right. So why would you believe that all races would evolve the same in terms of IQ or anything?
They wouldn't necessarily, and there are examples of races that actually do pop out as outliers on the IQ test. I think it's the Ashkenazi Jews do. They're like 15 points higher or something like that. This thing about African Americans being 15 points low, though, is fucking nonsense. You ignored every single thing I said about Haiti because I fucking cooked you on it so hard.
You didn't cook shit. I could say the same thing about Sierra Leone.
If I didn't cook you on it, how about you answer to it?
Liberia,
no.
Ethiopia.
Answer what if I didn't cook. If I didn't cook you on it, then answer about Haiti.
What a language translation? What the fuck? It's just put in their native language. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, if you don't think that that's important to how an IQ test is administered, then you don't understand IQ tests and how they're used by the people who develop them.
Well, is it more favorable in Japan, where the average IQ is about 105?
You could use a Japanese IQ test to compare a Japanese person to a Japanese person. What I'm saying is that you can't use a Japanese IQ test to compare a Japanese person to an American who took an American English IQ test.
Well, actually, American Japanese are about the same as people in Japan. It's about 105. Look. I know
you're just not answering any of the things I'm saying about this.
It is. What's your question? Look, I know how hard this is for you to accept. You just have to blame everything on systematic racism and white people, and maybe that's just not the answer.
You're not answering my rebuttals, dude.
That's what you're not. That's what you're having cognitive dissonance on. Okay. This is why you're getting upset. I'll answer your question. What's your question?
Do I look upset to you? I'm sitting here demonstrating to you that I'm actually really knowledgeable about how tests are administered, how they're used by the professionals that use them. And there is also this important thing about how even within a population, an IQ test doesn't tell you everything you need to know about a person. It's just a particular marker. Like height in sports. Height makes you better at most sports. Taller person, on average, going to be better at basketball, going to be a faster swimmer, going to be a faster runner. Does that mean that height is the only thing we should look at? No. The coach of those teams looks at how fast people can swim, how well they dunk in a game of basketball, or how fast they can run. Yes, there are statistical correlations between height and how well you do at those sports, but that doesn't mean that you should judge a person by their height, which is why you shouldn't judge a person by their IQ. I understand this stuff, and you're demonstrating that you don't. You just like that there's an opportunity for you to use the fact that this subject matter is complicated to spread your racist ideas to people who aren't equipped with knowledge about IQ tests enough to debunk them. And I sense that you're probably a little disappointed that you're talking to somebody who isn't like that, because I do understand these things.
No, this is you're articulating it, you're illustrating it perfectly. This is the delusion of the left that everything is white systematic racism. It is.
I haven't said that everything is white systematic racism once. You have repeatedly accused me of arguing that after I have made every rebuttal I've made in this conversation. Are you going to answer any of the things I just said? Because the show's over. You've got like another minute.
What's your question? I'll answer your question.
I'm not going to ask it again because you weren't listening. Have a nice day. Goodbye, John Stone. If you enjoyed the show, if you're still here on TikTok, if you've been listening on YouTube after the fact, you can go to the link tree in my bio and find how to follow me on the other platforms. Following me there helps, even though I have achieved all of my follower goals, except for Facebook, which, oh my God, maybe I have because it's growing so fast. Let's see where I'm at on Facebook. I'm trying to get 10K. That's my last achievement hunting thing to get everything monetized so I can quit my job and do this full time. It was 9.2 thousand when I woke up this morning. It's 9.6 thousand now. So don't even sweat it. That's going to be done by the end of the day. I'm going to be monetized everywhere. If you want to just support me directly, you can go send money to my Venmo, and that will go to my landlord, and then I'll be able to do the show. That's the story. To those who are potentially new, I also do outside content because I live here in Minneapolis, so I do protest content and get involved in that, and I've got some other background projects going on. What a refreshing episode. Ezra, I know you're just happy that I debated Iran the whole episode instead of trans issues, which I think on a global scale is a bigger problem. There's more people dying because of Iran of the Iran war than because of trans issues, at least as it comes to American political control. So anyway, thanks for the gifts, everybody. Thanks for supporting the show. Thanks for following. This was a big one. Oh yeah, thanks for the hanging lights, Jen. I still haven't explored all the gifts. I don't even know what they all are. But yeah, just big thanks to everybody. W's in the chat for the mods, because there's literally people working in the background to make sure the show stays good while I'm up here and doing this. And I got live fact checking and some warnings about which guests are going to be problematic and stuff like that. So All of that's great. That John Stone conversation was kind of fascinating. JD says, I've seen John Stone in so many other lives. You handled him expertly. Yeah, notice I didn't talk too quickly because he couldn't keep up. I knew he wasn't keeping up. So I did talk quickly, like kind of during the tirades, but I gave him a lot more space because that was one of those guests where it's like, yeah, I just can keep showing that all it boils down to is racism for him. But I'm going to get to video editing because I've got a shift tonight because I'm still working my evening job. VODs are going up on YouTube, including the one where the thumbnail is going to be W guest L host. I admit it because I totally lost an entire episode to me, like brain farting on what it means to pack the court. So that'll be fun. Come dunk on me and argue with the conservatives who think that means my political debate career is over in the comments. That episode's going to farm so much engagement. Yay. Everybody have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 Central's time in the morning, 10 to 12 Central Standard Time. That's when I do the show. All right. Actually, goodbye. Goodbye.